More confusion over at Disney as Kamran Pasha joins us this morning on Midnight's Edge in the Morning. We get our first look at He-Man and more. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. It is Friday, yeah, Friday. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. He-Man and more. Oh, we hear myself in the background.
Everybody's having. It's definitely Friday.
Technical difficulties right off the top of the show. And that, of course, is our boss man, Andre. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing the best I can. And also joining us today is the one, the only Kamran Pasha. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm also the one always responsible for the feedback loops because I've got all these different windows open, and one of them will never do play the live video, which is always a few seconds off the actual stream we're doing, right? So I'm always the guy at fault, but I bring some amusement every time. So
yes, indeed, and we're so glad to have you here today. It's going to be an awesome show, and we have other here today as well. To start us off, we have Lord Trinan, who says for $5, hail to the Midnight's Edge clan and the wise prophet Kamran. Let us bless this Friday with hopefully good news about the Lucasfilm situation. Yes, we are going to get into that. We have many others joining us as well. We have our ever loyal wrench Natasha in the chat. We have members like Etienne Falardo Productions is here. Cyber Soldier is here. And we have Fat Steven Seagal now doing gaming is here. So that's pretty awesome. Bashi Washi, also channel member, is here. Rory Mitchell is here. Fractal Jack is here. And many, many others. So hail and greetings to you all. Script Doctor is here in the chat. If you have the time, you'd be most welcome to join. Lady Ruskorini is here, and Bud Boy Production says, here we go. Indeed. It's going to be a real doozy today. We're going to be talking some Disney. We're also going to be talking some He-Man later on in the show. On that note, Hypergiver 2 says, fade in. Who else is excited to see Kevin Smith chop off He-Man's balls and put them on Tila? I definitely am not.
Well, it's hashtag cloud. No, it was it's She-Man now. So and that's where we are in 2021. So it's all good.
But we already have one. It's called She-Ra.
Yeah, but she wasn't brave and stunning enough, evidently.
Well, while we're at it, I'm going to say good morning also to Krusty Moko in the chat. We've also got Fractal Jack. We also have Kenneth LaRock, if I could speak this morning. We got Annabelle here. We also have the one, the only Thomas Gilkey in the house. Good morning, everyone. Fractal Jack. Did I say that already? Maybe. Six is in the house. Everybody's here this morning. Thank you for being here. So far this morning, it's been a pretty good morning so far. So Let's get into this headline here, Andre.
Yes, sure. I just want to get the super chats that I can
we got another one
on screen, and then we're going to do some classic super chats afterwards. Roll Titan says, does it really matter if KK is gone? Even if the story group goes with her, it's Disney. There's no hope for Star Wars. Hold that thought, because we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. And Stephen Otten also says, hail Andre, Tom, Kamran, Wrenches, and Midnighters. What did KK do this time?
We're going to get into that.
Oh, we are, and it's going to be fun. And the Importer just became a member. Thank you so much and welcome. We have some great exclusive member content coming up very, very soon. I'm going to go through a couple of classic super chats before we get into the content proper. House Atreides said, I can't bring it up on screen, according to Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow, Pablo Hidalgo will never be fired, as the Bobs are too privileged to even question Pablo's actions. Oh, we'll get. I trust we're going to get into Reimagine Tomorrow. Kamran, you must have heard about that.
I heard that Mr. Hidalgo is back on Twitter, and I've had some interesting exchanges with people who think he's out, not out. I've got some perspectives on that.
Okay, I meant about the reimagine tomorrow, but we'll get back into
I'm sorry.
it because it's all connected anyway. Okay. And then Panzerkrog says, for $20, thank you so much. I hope to God that this is truly it for KK this time. Now Pablo Hidalgo and the rest of the true bigots in the story group need to be launched out of Lucasfilm with a trebuchet. Too bad Marvel Studios now seem to be a mess. Yes, and speaking of the mess at Disney, Kamran, like the starting point for today is an article in Variety. And that's actually something that you had predicted. And before that, the importer says, can I get a hello from my buddy Frank as a new member? I don't know your buddy Frank offhand.
Hello, Frank.
Yeah, hello. And yes, because Kamran, you have been here before. And when you've been here before, we have spoken about the situation at Disney and what it's going to take to change it. Because Kathleen Kennedy, she is one of the most powerful women in Hollywood. She is completely untouchable. But to reiterate for you new viewers, after the firing of Gina Carano, you said that this changes everything. There's going to be massive changes done here, and there's going to be a war fought out in the media, in the trades. And the massive nuclear strike was an article in Forbes, which called out Bob Chapek directly by name over the Gina Carano situation and accused him of mismanagement. At that point, you told us earlier that now Bob Chapek has no other choice but to act, because that is a career-ending kind of article when it's put out in Forbes magazine. Not by Scott Mendelson, but by Forbes magazine proper. You also predicted that we are going to see new articles going forward that would also predicate what is going to happen behind the scenes, and ultimately they will decide what happened. No, they're not going to decide, but they're going to indicate the course taken behind the scenes.
That is the right word, because the trades are the mouthpieces of the power system, right? And so they reveal what the power system wants you to believe. And we'll talk about that more, but this is about creating a narrative to manifest the things that they are already planned by getting the whole system behind the current narrative.
Indeed. So let's go through the article, because there are a couple of bits here I want to highlight. In the article, it says, the headline is, Disney's New World Order leads to confusion and bruised egos. Just to begin there, what do you think about that headline? What does this say? Again, this is in Variety, so this is an industry trade. This is an industry mouthpiece. If a head like Disney's New World Order, essentially their new management, leads to confusion and bruised egos, how does an article like that happen in the first place?
Well, I mean, Variety is the oldest trade, right? I mean, it's sort of the gold standard of how this town works. And before we get to the title, what's happening here is that a specific narrative is being told within the industry, because everyone in the industry tends to repeat the trade's narratives like a mantra, and that's how you create, a perspective or even an illusion of what you want to be true. Right. So this is, and they don't do that on their own. The trades, maybe in the beginning, they had some level of independence, but they were always to some degree, the trades have always been in the pocket of the studios, really going back to the golden age of Hollywood. Right. They're there to serve as some gossip for the industry, but when it comes down to major shifts within the industry's power structure, they're there to tell the industry the official story that it's going to have to buy into by those who actually control things behind the scenes, right? So what is happening here is suddenly, when you're using words like Chapek is bruising egos, that's actually interesting because, as you know, Hollywood is based on ego, right? It's based on powerful people. And why would you need to say that the CEO of a company was doing, was busting egos or pushing? Because you would expect the CEO of a major studio and a major company like Disney to be doing that all the time. That's expected. What that is doing is creating a perception of Mr. Chapek on purpose, which is that this guy is a ball buster. Mr. Bob Chapek is going in there and he is cleaning house, which is what that means when you say bruising egos. When you're saying bruising egos, it means you're getting, in the face of people that are already established in power there and making them do things they didn't want to do. So that's the image that is intentionally being created of Bob Chapek in the industry, because the assumption, people have been talking about him as the CEO, but now this article is essentially asserting that he wasn't really the CEO, that Iger was still in charge and Iger's lackeys or, his previous regime were still in charge, and he's bruising their egos. So that's
exactly. Let's to those that haven't read the article, let's just read a highlight of it before we continue. It begins exactly as you say. The Walt Disney Company is in the throes of a major leadership shift, with newly minted CEO Bob Chapek asserting more authority as the longtime leader he replaced, Bob Iger, prepares to surrender his executive chairman role for emeritus status at year end. The two men's once warm relationship has grown strained, according to 4 insiders. This comes as Chapek has overseen a 2020 reorganization that centralized the media company's content distribution and ad sales. At a corporate level, Iger has moved much more into the background than he was a few months ago, even on the creative side, insiders say. In sign of the leadership transfer taking place, Chapek has not only joined Iger in creative meetings, but actually convened some this spring with top creative teams in television under Peter Rice and Dana Walden. And then it says, again, just as you were saying, everyone is becoming more and more deferential to Chapek, according to one Disney executive who asked not to be identified. And then it also says things are radically different than they were 6 months ago. The insider noted that the senior leaders have tried to insulate the creative teams from all of the upheaval. Now, within this context here, this certainly tells a story that Chapek is now really asserting himself and he is taking charge.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I said, you would think you don't need to do that, right? You're the CEO, right? Why would you need to do that? And why would, but what it is a signal to the town that this is the new guy. And now we have to see him as the guy that's going to essentially change all of Bob Iger's legacy, right, to establish his own, which is the norm. I mean, again, that's the norm whenever in a studio, whether it's movie or television, whenever a new regime comes in, it is assumed that the old regime stuff is going to be thrown out. I experienced that directly when I was on the show Kings. We were slotted to be one of the most important shows on NBC at the time. That was the year that Kings was coming on the air, 2009, was the year that ER was going off the air, right? And so we were actually slotted to take the ER slot, which is one of the most obviously watched time slots on network television. We were slotted to take that slot. That's how important that show Kings was, because NBC under that regime, wanted to present this as, we're going to do HBO quality stuff on NBC, right? And we're going to promote it at that level. And then guess what? the president of NBC was fired, and then it was fired just before the new year. And when I got the news that he was out, that the head of the head of the network was out, I said, okay, we're done, because the next person that's going to come in is going to erase everything he did. And so literally, I started packing that day. I was in New York City. I started packing that day. I said, we're done. And the next day, the new regime had come in, and we were told, oh, Kings is no longer going to be in the ER slot. We're going to put you up on Sunday against The Simpsons. So I said, okay, yeah, we're done. We're done. No one's going to watch this. No one's going to know it's there. We went from being the most promoted show on NBC to being banished and memory hold, right? That's the norm in Hollywood. I give that example to say that when that is the norm, no one questions it. You didn't have to put out a trade report saying Kings has been shafted because of a regime change, right? Everyone knew that was coming, right? So why is this coming out? It is coming out there essentially to give Mr. Chapek the cover he needs to do to start removing powerful people and establishing him as a aggressive alpha male who's kicking heads, right? And so those who have too much power to just be shuffled out have been given notice by the industry standard that their time is up. And that includes Miss Kennedy, in my opinion.
Yes, that's actually very interesting that you mentioned. So let's go back to the article one moment here to find like the next relevant bit, because again, it's very clear that the company is being completely restructured in his image. Things are radically different than they were 6 months ago. An insider noted that the senior leaders have tried to insulate the creative teams from all the upheaval. Others say that Chapek was initially hesitant to assert himself more on the creative side because he assumed the CEO job in February 2020. His attention was focused largely on dealing with keeping Disney afloat to the height of the pandemic after the company theme parks were forced to shut down, yada, yada, yada. Basically, they're now giving an excuse for why this didn't happen before. Now is when the company is being restructured, more than a year after he entered the picture. You would think that even with the pandemic, he would have done some reorganization before, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the norm. That is the norm. This entire thing with Mr. Chapek has been very strange, right? The whole thing has been strange in the sense that Mr. Iger announced that he was going to step down early in 2020 before the health issues took over the world, right? And then at the end brought it in, but then he within weeks of Mr. Chapek being the new CEO, suddenly we had the announcement, well, Iger's coming back because of the global crisis and events, and he's the only one that can guide the ship. You know that rankled Bob Chapek. It made him look like a fool, right? Suddenly he's the CEO, and then everyone is announcing that, but you're not really, because Iger's coming back to oversee you in this sort of executive thing. It's insulting. It's degrading. A man like Mr. Chapek did not patiently and steadily and probably ruthlessly rise to that position to have this guy come back, right? And so I'm sure that's been rankling him for over a year. And added to it, I do think that he didn't like the strategic choices that were being done by some of Iger's leftover regime, like Miss Kennedy. I really do believe he was smart enough as a bean counter to know that Star Wars was a financial pit and shouldn't be, right? And that he realized that was because Mr. Iger had protected Miss Kennedy. And that personal thing of this guy coming back in and overshadowing him, I'm sure added to Mr. Chapek saying, well, I'm going to fix this situation, reassert my authority, make everyone know who's boss, and clean house of that old regime that suddenly comes back and haunts me like, the face hugger from Alien. It won't leave me alone.
Exactly.
No, I'm curious. I can't remember. Did this come out just before or just after word that subscriptions had slowed down on Disney Plus?
We'll get into that because we actually have a new report on that today.
All right,
let's focus on this one. Because again, they talk a little bit about Iger's personality as opposed to Chapek, where they say that Chapek lacks Iger's flash and charisma. That's an insider notes. He's coming into his own. And then they talk about a restructuring which first begun last October. To some inside the media company, Disney's move last October to restructure its operations elevated the executives who distribute Disney movies and shows over the ones who actually oversee their production. The shakeup also granted a great deal of influence to a top Chapek ally, Kareem Daniel, who was elevated to chairman of Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution from his previous role overseeing consumer products. So in short, they're saying that under Chapek, distribution matters more than content production. And there are a couple of quotes here I really want your thoughts on.
Which, but before we go to the other ones, let's address this one, which is,
yes,
if distribution matters more than content, that's saying something. When you say distribution matters more than content, what you're saying is the customer matters more than our political ideology. You're saying it right there, right? Because content is created by the creatives, right? And when you're saying distribution is our focus, it means the end of the pipeline, not the beginning of the pipeline. Right. We're creating the product, right? So that's already a statement of, again, this is to cover. All of this is cover when the axe inevitably, which I think has come down on Miss Kennedy, to say, look, whenever Bob has to run into her in the cocktail party circuit, it's like, look, Kathy, that that this wasn't personal. It wasn't even personal about you and Lucasfilm. It's about shifting the focus to distribution. That's all it is. And so it wasn't personal. I wish you good luck. I hope that new production company is working out great for you.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like there's a shift in the focus, I guess, for one way, lack of a better way of putting it. And that is a good point. Like, it's like, yeah, we distributed these Star Wars movies. We make them. Lucasfilm made them.
Yeah. So
you can't blame us. It does have a very much of a ring of that, like that to it, for sure.
But all of this is, again, all of this is cover. All of this is cover to do what you got to do. And the reason you got to do what you got to do is you're not making money, right? That's what all of this is. This is just a Hollywood gobbledygook in order to get the train on the new track.
Yeah, and a script doctor who brought this up early 2020, where they weren't taking any new pitches. For those who may remember from when he was on bringing that up.
Yeah, and again, that was script doctor's right. That's when the sign that the train is beginning to shift to a new track, right? That's your first thing. It's like, oh, are we going in this direction? I thought we were going over there. We're going to go over here, okay? And now the trades are always the end of the journey. They're not the beginning of the journey. That now that this is being put in such an important article, right, in Variety, this is the signaling that the journey is done, that it's over. So that when the announcements of people moving along to better and bigger things and all that happen, no one is surprised because that's already been decided. You don't put this out in the trades with any loose ends. This is the official PR release of what we have already done.
Indeed. Speaking of the PR, let's get back to the article because it asserts that the focus is now more on distribution, just code for Disney Plus. And then it says Hollywood dealmakers noted that the new structure at Disney is Byzantine and more convoluted than necessary, adding an extra managerial layer into the process of getting projects made, which to me at least is code for you can no longer do exactly as you please. Someone has to green light what you're doing. That's how I'm reading that sentence.
Yeah, and the word Byzantine isn't done intentionally. It is to tell the town that now that there are hoops you have to go through, even powerful people. So it doesn't become about Ms. Kathleen Kennedy was ousted. It's like she's got this Byzantine structure that's just hard to navigate, even for someone like her. It's probably better for her to move on. It's just too much, right? It's the words are being chosen very specifically.
Indeed. And then it goes on to talk about who would be the one to greenlight projects before. When Iger departs in December, it is expected that Walt Disney Studios' Chief Creative Officer Alan Horn will also leave. Horn's departure could be destabilizing, as he has been the creative guiding force at the studio for the past 9 years.
So here, again, this is code speak. Alan Horn leaving is the code speak for Kathleen Kennedy leaving. Because you can't actually attack her personally, because it will be seen as a Me Too aggression, right? As an attack on a powerful woman. So you put the shift on the man that was creating the creative vision that misled everybody, and Kathleen Kennedy wasn't able to really prosper with Mr. Horn's thing. The poor Horn is being a sacrificial lamb here. I'm sure he doesn't like it, but that's the game, right?
Indeed. And then they talk about who's going to be in charge now. Insiders at Disney say Alan Bergman, the former co-chairman of Walt Disney Studios with Horn, who was recently elevated to chairman of Disney Studios Content, will be taking the reins solo. There are no plans for the company to bring in another creative head once Horn retires.
So all that talk of Kathleen Kennedy is going to be promoted, that's done. That's done.
Yeah.
And then we are actually getting into Kathleen Kennedy. Because now, having established Bergman, the replacement of Alan Horn, as it were, of course, who part of the distribution deal, Bergman and his team will have to manage competing fiefdoms of power to ensure that the studio's various brands play nicely together. These include Pixar, under the leadership of President Jim Morris and Chief Creative Officer Pete Docter, as well as Lucasfilm, overseen by Kathleen Kennedy, and Marvel, ruled by Kevin Feige. Of these leads, Feige is seen as the most essential executive, having proved his mettle with the massive success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and streaming shows like WandaVision. I thought that was interesting.
Well,
that the two guys.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that the phrasing that they use is that the guys at Pixar. They talk about under their leadership, but Marvel is ruled by Kevin Feige, but Lucasfilm is overseen by Kathleen Kennedy, and evidently much less important than Feige, who is seen as the most essential executive.
Yeah, because they don't bring up anybody else after that, do they?
Let's see exactly what it is they say.
I was just say I don't have it up here.
No, what they say, the exact words are: after it was announced in 2019 that Feige would produce a Star Wars movie, there were rumors that he might assume more control of Lucasfilm. However, insiders say that Feige is fully committed with his Marvel duties and has no ambition to lead Lucasfilm or take more of a role. Few details have emerged about the Star Wars films he wants to make, and no production timeline has been set. So no, they don't really talk so much about anyone else. The focus is on Feige.
Look, Feige is again is being anointed as their most important player. Kevin Feige is being anointed in this article as their most important player, and that he has no ambitions to take over Lucasfilm. Guess what? That suggests that there may be a position open for someone to take over.
That's exactly my reading too.
Worded. It's quite humorous to me how obvious this is.
Well, yeah, that's why I was saying, do they really bring up anybody else up? Because remember, like, I don't see him saying, the head of Pixar is this, that, and the other, just like they did with Kevin Feige there. And why would they even mention that, like you said, about taking over Star Wars, when that hasn't even been something that's been in the real major trades from my recollection? That's been stuff that's been rumors going on in our levels and like Doomcock and other places like that. So that's really strange that it's in a Variety article like that and how it's worded.
It's not strange. I guess
it's not. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Punchline of the. Can I be honest with you guys? This whole thing is about Lucasfilm. This entire article is about Lucasfilm. There's no reason for this article to exist. You know, Bob Chapek is officially the CEO of this company, right? There's no reason for any of this. There's no reason for making this announcement that he's butting heads, and it doesn't make any sense unless you're trying to achieve something. All of this is about Lucasfilm. All of this is subtext about Lucasfilm in order to give him the very thing that I said in our earliest videos on the Midnight's Edge. He needs cover. Bob Chapek needs cover in the cocktail party circuit so that he doesn't, run into Kathleen Kennedy at Steven Spielberg's house and it becomes uncomfortable for everyone, right? And this is all about that, setting up the big strategic corporate thing to give him that coverage. It isn't about anything else. This is a Lucasfilm article.
Yes. Strong and Grand. We have other super chats. We'll get to them. But I want to highlight this one because it's so on topic. Strong and Grand says for $5. Thank you so much. Mr. Pasha, I just joined in. But does this article fall in line with your genius prediction a few weeks ago? Love your channel, guys. Oh, thank you. I'm going to answer that question for you so you can gloat. Yes, this falls 100% within the prediction that Kamran made here a few weeks ago. It absolutely does. And I would also like to point out what this seems to me. This seems to me when a politician is basically in line to take over the party or be a presidential candidate. The serious candidates, they say, no, I have no ambitions towards that end. However, if one were asked to serve, that's how that reads to me. Only it wasn't him saying it; it was said on his behalf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean this is Hollywood speak 101. And I can understand that people wouldn't necessarily see it, but I've had my butt kicked 20 years of this politics in this industry, right? I've survived here. I've lost a lot of battles, and actually the losing the battles teaches you how things work. Winning the battles doesn't teach you anything, right? It's when you actually find yourself on the other end of the corporate politics and you can't get out of it and you lose and you're out, right? And I've been in that position. I've been in that position at Disney where I got fired from Tron, which I've been very open about, right? And so I learned how Disney worked from that. Had everything was going hunky-dory, I wouldn't learn how Disney worked, right? And so when I saw this, I was like, yeah, I remember what this was about. I went through this on Tron at a much smaller scale. I know what this is.
Indeed. And also then back to the article, it says, one source took a philosophical view of the film studio structure post-Horn, saying it would define the ambition of Disney going forward. If the unit's long-term plan is to maximize its existing content engines, Bergman will rule the kingdom, they said.
So we now know who's in charge. Who's in charge? Chapek's in charge of the company, and now know who's going to be in charge of setting Lucasfilm back, even if he doesn't have the title of Lucasfilm head. Right? It's going to be this Bergman guy. Bergman is going to be given the thing. Well, he's the one that found Kathleen Kennedy's replacement, and he's going to be the one keeping an eye on making sure they maximize this. That's again specifically used terms. They clearly haven't maximized the value of Lucasfilm. Their only acquisition that is a complete utter failure. Right? They maximize the value of Pixar. They maximize the value of Marvel. That's why those three were put together: Pixar, Lucasfilm, and Marvel. And Lucasfilm is in the center of it, right? Because which of these is not like the other? This is very specific writing. I was a former journalist. This is very intentional writing to make you subconsciously come to understand certain things.
Indeed. And then the article concludes. The changing power dynamics and issues that Chapek face are similar to the ones confronting other media companies. Streaming has upended the old ways of doing business, with consumers spending more money on subscription services like Netflix and less on cable and big screen movies. That's led to an onslaught of new challengers to Netflix, such as Comcast's Peacock, Warner Media's HBO Max, and the Disney-owned Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. It's also prompting media companies to reshape their operations, and that's led to a sense of displacement for movie and television business veterans. Studios don't look like studios anymore, sighed one producer. There the article concludes. What do you think of that ending, Kamran? I really want to hear your thoughts on that.
This article
everyone is complaining. Things are
Kathleen
changing.
Kennedy. This article is about Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy. You highlighted the words that the article ends on: displacement, right? No, who's being displaced? Kevin Feige's not being displaced. Head of Pixar is not being displaced. Who's being displaced, right? And so that's what this is. This is telling people there's going to be displacement. So don't be shocked when someone you thought was untouchable is displaced, because now there's all this competition, which is listing all of these new things. So the most important thing is the old studio system is done. And how is the old studio system understood? It's about personalities. That goes back to Louis Mayer and Jack Warner, right? They named the studios after them, right? Since Star Wars, or since Lucasfilm became part of Disney, it has been seen as Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm. It should be called Kennedy Film, right? That's what it's been seen as, and that's what it's been promoted as since George Lucas signed those papers that gave his baby up, right? So now they're saying in this article that that old day is over. Personalities are no longer going to define it. Money is going to define it. So that means the town, guess what? It looks like all those old loyalties, you thought Ms. Kennedy was invincible with all the right relationships, that's over, because that era is over. It's not personal. It's not personal to her. It's just that the world has changed. This is such a strategic article, and this is literally, the Empire Strikes Back to the Forbes article. This is Bob Chapek striking back to the Forbes article that humiliated him over Gina Carano and Lucasfilm. And he did it in this brilliant, passive, aggressive way where it's all about everything except what it's actually about, which is about, Kathy, your time is done. I'm telling the town your time is done. The town now knows her time is done. No one is going to be shocked when it's Ms. Kennedy is going to be stepping down from Lucasfilm, because now it's not she screwed up Lucasfilm. Now it's part of an overall corporate restructuring. They've set up the overall corporate restructuring narrative. They don't need to restructure this corporation. They're doing okay if they can get if they can get their parks back online, which they're working on now, and if they can get if they can get Marvel to keep, Marvel, we'll talk about whether Marvel knows what it's doing in the future, but right now they don't see Marvel as a problem. And so far it's made them money, and Pixar has made them money. There's only one place that hasn't made them money. So there's no corporate restructuring necessary. It's fixing this problem, but they have to put it in the context of a corporate restructuring. They're setting up the narrative. It's brilliant. And Mr. Chapek is actually really brilliant and clearly very dangerous. He's just not the kind of person you mess with. There's a reason that he replaced Iger. There's a reason that he's a CEO. He's clearly a brilliant strategist. I'm really, really surprised and delighted by how Machiavellian he's turned out to be.
Yeah, this is exactly what you said as well. Like, do you still believe that this whole strike against him in Forbes a while back could have been orchestrated by his camp? Certainly was at that level.
Because who else would have the guts to go against the CEO of Disney? It didn't make any sense then. Could it be Jon Favreau made some calls and made this happen? Sure, it's possible, right? But it wouldn't shock me if all of this started from Mr. Chapek going, okay, so how do we chess move this woman out of here, right? Okay, I'll take the hit, right? This is a war, right? It's Sun Tzu, it's the art of war. So I'll take the hit here, and then I will then have to respond to the hit and take out my adversary, right? It's literally it's those people without spreading conspiracy theories. It's those people that claim that FDR knew that Pearl Harbor was coming. Whether that's true or not, it's certainly strategically plausible that, okay, America doesn't want to get into World War II. We definitely need to be hit. It's and so if we're hit, we're going to respond, and that's what we're having here.
Indeed, that is very, very interesting, especially in light of some Disney Plus numbers that have recently come in.
Yeah.
But before we do that, and we also have some rumors that have been reported by both ourselves and our good friend Doomcock. But before we get into that, I want to get in a couple of more super chats and try to get caught up on those. So we're going to go straight into let's see if there's some relevant here. Gypsy Warrior has a quick question for you. Do cast and crew sign with Disney or with Lucasfilm?
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again?
Do cast and crew that sign up for a production sign up with Disney or with Lucasfilm?
It's generally with the studio, right? I mean, it's generally whenever I've worked for a subsidiary studio of a major corporation, my paycheck is with the production entity, which in this case would be Lucasfilm.
Right.
That's generally how it works.
Makes sense.
And our good friend Stephanie Janisek Smuggler's Cantina says, so glad you guys used this article.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, thank you for sending it to us.
I was going to say, yeah, you were one of the people that sent it to us. Yes.
Steph and I have been texting about it, so we've been talking about this quite a bit.
Yes. And Harry Partridge Live says, I would pay good money for a course or video series by Kamran about how to navigate Hollywood politics. Just a thought. Thank you, guys.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah,
well, I think you're watching it right now.
You're watching right here, and I'm not getting nothing out of these super chats or whatever. It is what it is. But
we'll sort that out.
I'm teasing. But what I'm saying is, it's like one of those ads that we always see for this is your new instructor, right? And then some Martin Scorsese shows up to become your new instructor, right? Whatever that website is, where
Masterclass.
Masterclass, right? Thank you. So I guess we're doing the Midnight Edge Masterclass on Hollywood politics, and I only think you can do it here. I don't think you could ever promote it publicly in the way Masterclass does, right? But it's fascinating to me to watch the end of an era here, which is what we're watching. I'm like I said, I've been here 20 years, so I've been here almost a full generation, and the industry is turning upside down in the way that the world is turning upside down. The events that are, and we don't have to go into the current events, but the events that are in the news right now were unimaginable 2 years ago, right? Or even a year ago. And that's the case with what's happening to Hollywood. The entire power structure is being turned upside down, and it needed to be. This is the case of rotting wood needs to be cleaned out. I mean, this is the end of an era because the era needed to end.
I mean, okay, so like, I know you wanted to get to some more super chats, Andre, which we will here. Are we going to get into the Disney Plus business after that?
Yeah, after that, we're going to get into the rumors by Doomcock and ourselves. Yeah. Then we're going to get into the Disney Plus numbers.
All right, I'll just wait to talk about it till then.
Yeah. Crazy Cat Guy sent us a $5 super sticker, so thanks for that. And then I can't bring up... Well, there are a couple I can bring up on screen, but we're going to get into the classics. So don't worry, we're going to get everything done by the end here. But first, some more of the classic super chats before we resume talking about the rumors that have been reported by ourselves and Doomcock. Those are, that's going to be pretty fun. Master Rebel says for 750 Icelandic krona. Tusen tack. This is what happens to a beloved franchise when you give a woman a job based on gender quotas instead of competence and skills. I don't think that was the case with Kathleen Kennedy in particular, though. I think there it was a matter of her power and connections. More so than anything
she wasn't given a job because she was a woman. It certainly served a useful narrative at a certain moment in history. But remember, when she was coming in, in 2012, Mr. Obama was still president, right? And so there wasn't this narrative at the time that women are under attack, right?
Well, and on paper, it made sense. I mean, we all said that. I'm sure if you didn't say it out loud, you said it in private, probably like, oh, they got Kathleen Kennedy to run Lucasfilm. The lady who's produced every Steven Spielberg movie, Robert Zemeckis movie, and oh, sure, that makes sense. She even produced Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think we were all good with it.
At the time, it made sense.
Yeah, it seemed like okay, it's in steady hands. A multi-billion-dollar franchise is in steady hands. Turns out, the hands weren't as steady as we thought.
Yeah, because as we've pointed out before too, you look through her IMDb or whatever you want to call it, her filmography. Yeah, she's got this wall of classic blockbuster hits. But once you start taking names like I just mentioned, Spielberg, Zemeckis, and so on away, you're stuck with these movies like Milk Money and other stuff that nobody has ever heard of.
Yeah.
And it really clearly shows that it's part and parcel, or however you want to put it, of who she's working with more so than her, which is becoming abundantly clear over the past few years. And then the other point I wanted to get to has to do with the whole, I think she's just, the movies she's making are costing way too much money. And that's where it's getting into the whole bringing up the production side of things with Disney Plus, because they really need to shave down the production costs on these things.
Which is why they're not in a profit, which is why, shockingly, almost a decade after the sale, they are not in a profit on Star Wars when they expected to be in profit within 4 years, right? And I brought this up, and right after The Last Jedi, I went and spoke in my business school. I was an alumnus of the Tuck School at Dartmouth, and I went and spoke to the MBA class, and I said, you're going to be writing, business school cases about this, and this is the fall of this massive franchise. I saw it at the moment of The Last Jedi. I said, this is it. They're going to destroy the franchise, and they're going to lose money, and they're never going to make it back. And so we're at that place right now, and that's why it's talking like all that gobbledygook Hollywood speak of that article in Variety is to indicate that there are certain areas of Disney that are not profitable that need to be cleaned up, right? And there's only one area of Disney that has not been profitable for the last several years. I mean, setting aside the events of the past year, which disrupted all of the economy, right? But specifically that they've been in a loss since they invested their $4 billion. People don't understand. Andre, you and I have talked about this. People don't understand that each one of those movies made $1 billion, or and the Force Awakens made $2 billion. That's not how it works economically. If you're just looking at the return that Disney gets out of just the movies, that's about 50-60% of the box office, right? And so they've made approximately maybe $2-3 billion revenue from that. The problem is this, as you know, Andre, is that everything has to be amortized. So
exactly.
You have to add that $4 billion plus interest. So in order with each passing year, so they need to have generated at this point probably about $15 billion of revenue to cover that. They're not even close to that. They're probably $10 billion in the hole.
Yeah, and that's
like the thing. Yeah. I was going to say, here's the thing. That's when they pay $4.05 billion, which is what they did. It's not that everything is good once they have made $4.05 billion. Everything is okay when they have made back the opportunity cost of $4.05 billion in an allotted time frame, which basically means that if you had those $4.05 billion and you put them in the bank and just collected interests, or you divided it between a high interest bank account and you put some into shipping or whatever, it's like the combined return of what that would have been in, say, 5 years. That is the amount to beat for the whole Lucasfilm acquisition to be successful.
Yeah.
And this hasn't been anywhere near that. It's been a disaster, like now 10 years later, close to it, given that they still haven't broken even on it, and they should have been billions in profit by now.
Well, and this brings us to what we were talking about, linking what Tom was raising earlier about how Ms. Kennedy's credits are so large, right, and so great. This is the tragedy of Hollywood. That's it's a tragedy of Kathleen Kennedy, right? It's like the tragedy of Darth Plagueis, right? And so it's a tragedy of Kathleen Kennedy. It's the Peter Principle. She rose to the position that she wasn't able to handle. The Peter Principle is a management principle that's humorous, and it's also true that in a corporate structure, people rise, to the position of their incompetence.
Yeah.
They keep getting promoted until the point comes when they're no longer capable of doing the job. And the Peter principle is at which point no further advancement is possible. That's actually the punch of the Peter principle. You rise to the level of your incompetence, people realize you don't know what you're doing, and then all those steps that got you there stop. So that's it. She's done. She will get a production deal, but she's done. She's not going to, she's going to fade off into gentle sunset now.
Yes, indeed. Gonna do a couple of more super chats before we get into the rumors that we have reported on. Diego Flores, our good friend of Midnight's Edge Espanol fame, says, saying that nothing will change if the bad apples leaves is admitting defeat to those insufferable monkeys at Hollywood. It's a good point right there. And Wesley Snipes asks, what's your favorite cheese? I think you've answered this before, Kamran.
My favorite what? I'm sorry?
Your favorite cheese.
I'm not a huge cheese fan, but I'd go with Swiss.
Yeah, there you go. Judah Khan sent us a super sticker. So did Darius Münchhausen. So thanks for that. And Alex Acerra says, you mentioned POC in... Oh, yeah, you mentioned that people of color in Hollywood are screwed, Kamran. Why so? Aren't artists going to be getting more work?
No. I mean, they're going to get more fake work, right? And so this town only cares about diversity to the extent that it can use it for PR, right? That's it. Whenever they get somebody who is a minority, it is used for PR purposes. The idea of actually giving that person power, and it goes back to an old statement from that TV show Dallas, right? One of my favorite shows as a kid, where J.R. Ewing's father, Jock Ewing. There's a great scene. You can get it on YouTube. This scene. It's an incredible acting moment where that show Dallas was about this family feud inside of this oil company. And so you had the two brothers, J.R. Ewing and Bobby Ewing, who's the good brother. And so Bobby Ewing in that scene comes storming into their father, who had given him power over Ewing Oil, and had then discovered the father was siphoning money out of the accounts for his own purposes. And he's like, well, I have access to those accounts, son. I built the company. He's like, but you gave me power over this company. You can't just take money out of it like that. And then he says to his son, he says, I gave you power, then you got nothing. Nobody gives you power. You take it, right? And Hollywood knows that. That's the rule of Hollywood. Nobody gives you power. So right now they're giving minorities, people of color, BIPOC, whatever the new word is of the day, right? They're giving people like that, of which I include myself, power. That's not real, because that will be taken away as necessary, right? So for PR purposes, every new director, it's got to be a woman. Every new director has got to be, of a non-white ethnicity or whatever, right? And so that's just the story they're doing. Unfortunately, we're also seeing that the people that are being given that power, if they don't have the ability to seize it, they cannot sustain it. And so, we have examples like Birds of Prey, where it was an example of someone being given power they weren't ready for PR purposes. You had Kathy Ann, an Asian, a female director, so that represents what the town wants to promote right now, right? And whose previous credit was a small film that I believe made something like $30,000. In the box office, something ridiculously low like that. And from that, they give her the budget of $100 million superhero movie, because it's all about female empowerment. And we have an Asian woman who's going to kick ass, because again, the stereotype is Asians do martial arts, so it's going to be kick ass. Right? These are all stereotypes they're feeding in their PR, right? And the movie was a disaster, and it was a known disaster because she wasn't ready for it. And they had to have this very successful stunt coordinator come in and do all the action scenes because she didn't know how to do it, right? That's embarrassing. Ms. Yan's kind of done. She's kind of done, right? And that's why she's been doing a lot of sort of upset interviews about how it played out, how the fans betrayed her, all that stuff. And, because she was put in a position that they could take the power back from her. So the power structure doesn't want anybody to give to anyone. If you are anyone, minority or otherwise, who wants power in Hollywood, you have to take it. You have to seize it. That's been my entire strategy, right? Because nobody wants to give me anything, right? Muslim guy, they don't want to give me anything. And they've made that clear. And they've made that clear by saying it out loud. It's not even like my conspiracy theory. People have said, I'm not going to hire that Muslim guy. And it gets back to me, right? And so how have I survived for 20 years? Whatever I've had, I've taken with my own hands, right? And that's been my journey. And I don't want the handout because the handout isn't real. And it's a way to set me up for a downfall. So that's where we are.
Exactly. What can be given can be taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. And also on the note on what we said earlier about the opportunity cost of Star Wars, Dark King wonders, what return on investment would have made Star Wars good?
Well, it certainly isn't being $10 billion in the hole. That certainly isn't. And so, no, the investment would be better than whatever the interest rate is, and you would expect of Star Wars to be at a high interest rate. So, there was actually a projection that I saw in 2012 by a financial analyst when Star Wars had been acquired. I saw this projection, and it's absolutely fascinating because this was a financial analyst for like Morgan Stanley or something like that, right? And he was correctly predicted what the first Star Wars was going to do. The Force Awakens. They hadn't even announced. They just announced part of the acquisition. We're doing new live action trilogy. We knew nothing about it at the time. I don't think we knew that the J.J. Abrams was involved. We didn't know anything, right? But he did this projection of what it should be. And the financial projection was the first Star Wars movie will make $2 billion, right? Which he was right. He was right 4 or 5 years in advance because he knew that's the finances of it's got to make $2 billion. And then the second movie will make $2.5 billion. And the third movie will make $3 billion. And he was laying out the path towards profitability. And guess what? The Last Jedi screwed it up. The projected Wall Street plan was on target. The first movie made $1 billion. The next movie made $1.2 billion. That is literally 50% off the Hollywood projection, the Wall Street projection. 50% off, and the movie after that made $1 billion. So that's down from what the projection of $3 billion. So they should be in the black right now to the tune of $5 to $10 billion. Instead, they are in the red to the tune of $10 billion. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I would also like to say about that projection, it was actually a very, very good and a very realistic projection. What I like about it is that it says that the first movie was going to do $2 billion based on anticipation alone, just based on anticipation or anything like that. So literally, Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, they deserve no credit. All it had to do was kind of look like Star Wars, look expensive, and be sold under the Star Wars name, and it would be sailed to 2 billion pretty much no matter what, just based on the anticipation. And then for the next one, that assumed that the first one was going to be really, really good and well-liked, and that the next one would be a crowd pleaser too. That was the assumption for it making 2.5. The
assumption was it would be competently produced, because the reason Disney bought it is that this is a golden goose. You just have to sit there and it lays golden eggs, right?
Exactly.
And that was the logical thing. They just assumed basic competence in storytelling, and then people, the income revenue from the movies and then the toys and everything else would continue to rise, because that's what happened with Star Wars originally, right? It just kept getting bigger with time. Right?
Well, yeah, that was a point I was going to bring up, is the golden eggs that this franchise lays, I should say, sorry, is actually made of plastic, because toys, merchandise, that's one thing Star Wars is built on, and that's what they were buying, at least they thought. And that's another major point, like we've seen with Star Trek, where this entire thing has made the merchandising go down the tube, and add in what they spent on the parks, add in that the Solo film lost a shit ton of money. These are all factors that go into, have they really made that $4.05 billion back? I don't think so. I think Andres was kind of hitting on it earlier on. You kind of have to go into this, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, since you're more in the financial and the industry side of things as far as that goes. But I figure you almost got to look at this like you do almost any film venture. You spend $4.05 billion on a franchise, you have to triple that before you've basically made your money back, considering all the investments and stuff you have to put in on top of it. So again, it's almost like a film production in that sense, to where you have to triple your budget back to be like, yeah, now it's not only in profit, it's successful. Again, I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but
the
yeah.
triple is a good number. The triple is generally a good number for success. It's how we look at our lives in the industry, right? People think, oh, wow, you made $1 million on that project, right? No, actually, you have to pay your agents and your managers and your lawyers. And then you have to pay your taxes. And you have to do this and that. And so at the end of the day, whatever anybody's making officially is about a third of the number, right? The third is about the right financial indication of anything, right? And so if you want to make $1 million, you actually got to make $3 million, right? That's how it works, just financially, even in the industry. I know because I look at my paychecks, right? I'm like, oh, okay, I thought I was getting, that's what I got. Okay, so the third, and I'm sure Andre, you and I can talk about this as people who've been trained in finance, right? From my financial background, that's about right for a lot of projects. I think the industry, the financiers like to imagine 3 times forward, because just 2 times is being very optimistic that things are going to work out, right? 3 times is a bit realistic with all the ways that you could lose money in order for through various revenue drains. If you bring in 3 times the original investment, you're on the right track, and I think that's fair. Andre, what is your perspective?
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely, because it's like this whole risk reward curve. When the risk is high, the reward has to be even greater. So you always have to strive for the tre ganger, as we say in Norwegian, which basically means tripling it. Because if anything less, because then those things where you're able to earn 3 times the investment, they are going to make up for the projects where that assumption doesn't hold true. Because again, it's high risk, high reward. Some things aren't going to work out, but if enough of those actually do make 3 times, that's going to make up for those that don't. So yeah, very healthy assumption.
The fun thing is this, Andre, this wasn't a high-risk investment. This was
it wasn't.
No,
it was literally
a
money machine, supposed to
exactly. Be. I was just going to say it's a money minting. Is exactly what I was going to say. It's a money printing machine. So sorry about that.
That's exactly right. The only risk was that, unlike Pixar and unlike Marvel, there wasn't anything established. They had to build it, and they built it with the wrong people. That, in retrospect, was a risk, and it was a risk that they failed to recognize or do anything about.
Well, they created the risk. They did have something. They had a friend. They did have something. They had more than Marvel. They had, Marvel had successful comics, but they were still sort of geek comics. The Marvel was the risk taker. When they put Iron Man out to introduce the MCU, Iron Man, right? He was even the most popular dude in the MCU, right? I used to watch Iron Man cartoons as a kid, but Thor was better known, right? Captain America was better known. For them to do that, that's pure risk taking. And they did it, and they managed it. This was just gold falling into your lap. They had billions of dollars from the previous movies, the previous toys, and then they had 20 years worth of extended universe books and comics for storytelling. There was no risk here. They could have just remade the Thrawn trilogy, and they just could have just made the Thrawn trilogy, and they would have been good to go. Right? They did not have to create their own new characters. They had the EU. What was done here is one of the most remarkably insane things I've ever seen. Taking a no-risk project, inserting massive risk into it at every stage. The first risk insertion is leaving. When I heard the EU was being decanonized, I was like, that was my first feeling something's wrong. That doesn't make any sense. You have 20 years worth of stories. You don't have to do anything. Just print money. Make Mara Jade TV shows. People will watch them. The fan base exists. Hollywood was allegedly always about, we've got to have pre-existing properties, right? That's why it's hard to create something new. And so when Miss Kennedy said, we don't have any books, it's like, sure you do. You just threw them all out. It doesn't but that's the violation of the first rule of Hollywood, is just use what's already worked. That's the first rule. Don't create something new. Use what has an existing fan base. And so they literally they threw everything out and just assumed the fan base would go with. So that's risk number one. The first one worked out because, as expected, anticipation, right? Had they redone the Thrawn trilogy and made it good, if Heir to the Empire had been the new movie, I think it would have made 2.5 or 3 billion because that already had a passionate fan base along with the general people who were like, oh, Star Wars is back, right? And so that would have been the risk-free way to do it. Then the second layer of risk, which is the most insane layer, is to bring on Mr. Johnson and come up with this insane subverting expectations pathology. Why would you subvert the expectations of a paying customer base when the first rule is to give the people what they're already comfortable with, right? With the pre-existing material. That's the first rule. So that insane risk was the one that was the second point, and it was 2 strikes, it was done. 2 strikes, it was done. And it blew me away to watch this because it doesn't make rational economic sense. The only thing it was all done from an ideologic perspective from people who are literally fat cats who are so deluded by their own sense of sitting on a mountain of gold that they squandered the whole thing by not even following the basic rules of Hollywood, which is risk management. There was no risk here, and they added risk and crazy extreme risks that didn't work out, nor would they have ever worked out.
Exactly. That point is made by our audience. Troy Pacelli says for $10, thank you so much. Fundamental error from the beginning was failure to understand and respect fandom. The seeds were laid by jettison the EU the way they did. Restoration of the EU is, in part, why Favreau succeeds.
And now we're getting a literal restoration of the EU. It's coming back, right, from what I understand. And so, and we have this thing, which I think at some point you want to talk with Doomcock rumors. We have this thing with this.
Yeah, I would jump into there right now.
Magically, right? So let's talk about the EU coming back. This book that was supposed to be in the EU that never got greenlit magically, mysteriously appears on Amazon, becomes a bestseller, and then disappears again. I mean, this is fun stuff, right? I mean, I was like, this is
to reiterate for those that haven't heard it. Our good friend Overlord DVD, Doomcock himself, recently reported about this Star Wars book, the one that was written back in the 90s, and then it was redacted. But suddenly it appeared on Amazon. Now, we have not heard these rumors for ourselves, but what Doomcock reported was that apparently it was Jon Favreau that was the one directly or indirectly responsible for orchestrating the release of this non-canon, non-High Republic EU book, because he wanted to show that this book right here from the 90s, it's real Star Wars with Luke Skywalker and all of the traditional characters, and he wanted to illustrate that even with no promotion, no backing, no nothing, it could beat the hell out of the sales numbers of anything High Republic, because maybe people want Luke Skywalker instead of Leox Gyasi and his trusted companion, Rock.
You know, when I saw this, and I really regret that I wasn't aware of this, because I would have bought that book immediately. Now it's like, and it's been pulled from Amazon for a copyright violation, and now apparently, those copies that were taken are available on eBay for $500-$600 a piece. It's going to go up more than that, right? That's within a few days. It'll be probably $1,000 soon to get those books. This is made me laugh, because this isn't even. There was no need for this. This Kennedy's already finished. This is literally rubbing salt in the wound. This is an attack on the story group. It's to finish them off, right? It's to finish. She's already done. But this is to finish off the story group and humiliate them, right? More than they've already humiliated themselves. Everyone at Disney knows that this High Republic isn't making money. The bean counters know that. And anyone who is honest inside of Disney knows that it's stupid. They're looking at it and goes, man, this rock. They know it's stupid. Right? But then this is adding salt into the wound. If Mr. Favreau did this, God bless him. But whoever did do this, God bless them, because this was done literally to kick somebody that's already down and to finish them off. This is a coup de grace.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you think it's kind of funny that we get this article on the heel of the whole Heart of the Jedi thing? The Gina Carano seemingly popping back up into toys, and then the Bear Grylls episode being reinstated, and then the
allegedly
Emmy
back on set. And the Doomcox is saying the rumor that she's allegedly been back on set. Right?
Yeah, that I can't speak to, obviously, because I have not heard myself, but I don't know what Andre's heard from any of his peeps.
I am not able to verify it. I haven't heard anything about it. I will say, though, that it's very interesting that, according to Doomcock and his sources, and we don't have the same sources, so sometimes we get a little bit of different information. I do not know the veracity of this, but I do find it very, very interesting that all of this is happening at the same time. And then the rumor is, against the rest rumor, and we haven't heard it, this is Doomcock, but according to him, Gina Carano has been spotted on the set of the Boba Fett show, wasn't it? And it's very, very interesting.
I don't know
for her to be there.
Yeah, I don't know that is true. I haven't asked anyone, so I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that is true, because I think the issue is settled. I think it's over. I think Miss Kennedy's out, and I think Gina, if she wants to, is welcome back. I think it's settled. I think it's completely settled. The reason I know it's settled is that they submitted Gina's name for an Emmy nomination, right, in the trades. Right. And so it's settled within Hollywood. As I was pointing out, I was saying to our friend Lorena Creole earlier this week, that trade revelation and the trade article or the trade advertisement putting up who the Disney wanted to promote for Emmys for The Mandalorian, and having Gina Carano prominent. She was like number 2 or number 3 on that list, right? Very high up there. Her name alone for best supporting actor or best, I think it was best supporting actress. But that was done not even for the general public. That's done for me. I'm a voting member of the TV Academy. That's being done for me. So I'm a member of the industry. I can vote for Gina Carano, right? And that's being done to tell people in the industry she's back. And it's being done quietly, so that I don't even know that if she chooses to return, I don't even know that they're going to address it. I don't know that they're going to put out a press release saying we brought her back. I think they're just going to have her back on the show and pretend nothing happened. That
could be the Luke Skywalker moment of Boba Fett.
Well, it's going back to Dallas. It's that whole thing where literally there was a whole season of Dallas that they decided didn't work after the character Bobby was killed in a car crash. And so at the end of the season, Bobby's wife opens up the final episode of the season. She opens up her shower, and Bobby, who was dead for the whole season, is standing there in the shower. And you're like, what the hell? That's the cliffhanger. And when you come back the next season, you're like, oh yeah, that was a dream sequence. She had the whole season was her dream where the Bobby was dead. And that's how they did it. It's going to be Bobby in the shower. They're just going to have Gina Carano back if she wants to be back and pretend nothing happened. So I know all this is over. And when you're going back to Tom's earlier point of view, his question, which is this all coincidence? Nothing is coincidence when it comes to Disney, and nothing in coincidence in particular when it comes to Star Wars. All of this is happening at the same time. That trade article was intentionally put out in the same way that the Forbes article was intentionally put out. Remember we talked about this, Andre? The Forbes article was put out about a month after Gina Carano had been let go, right? About 30 days or so after it.
Yeah, no reason to put that article out 30 days
later. The buzz was done.
If you put it out 3 days later, or you don't put it out.
Exactly. The buzz was done. That was done to signal a shift in the politics of the situation. That was done on purpose. This Variety article was done on purpose. And it's timing. There's no reason to bring this up out of nowhere. There's no reason. I mean, the new CEO is bruising egos a year after he's been appointed. It doesn't make any sense for it to just show up. All right. But it's showing up at the same time as all of this stuff is happening. It's showing up at the same time as this EU book mysteriously appears on Amazon. That's not an accident. You have to get the original manuscript and those files from 10 years ago. Who has those files? Disney has those files. This is not something some guy, who was vaguely associated with, like some old literary agent involved in the project, put out there. This is somebody who got a hold of that, was able to get it published. That can't be done. No one is stupid enough to put out a Star Wars book. That's a copyright violation. No publisher will do it, right? This was done on purpose. And during the same time that this Variety article comes out, the same time that Gina Carano is getting put in the trades for, Emmy nomination, And allegedly she's back on set, or people are claiming she's back on set. I can't verify that she's back on set. I don't know that that's true. It wouldn't surprise me. I will say Ms. Carano, partly because she's an incredibly gracious woman, despite having been fired or so rudely disrespected, she was on her Twitter just maybe about a week or so ago, highlighting some of the toys. I think on May 4th, on May the 4th, right? She was highlighting some of the Gina Carano toys. And I thought to myself, why is Gina doing that? She doesn't need to do that. If she's out, why is she bringing attention to her toys if her toys are out? And I said, oh, she's not out. I am of the opinion she was signaling that I'm back, guys. And she was doing it in a brilliantly gentle way, which is how she does everything, right? I'm back. And Cara Dune is back. All of this is happening within a few days of each other. It means that this is finished, and then you heard the rumors that she has been put on a permanent vacation or whatever like that. I believe that's absolutely true. I think
that rumor, by the way, we have heard and can. We can't verify that it's true, but we can verify that we have heard that rumor, and we reported on it actually before Doomcock. We reported on it a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We reported that we had heard from our sources that Kathleen Kennedy is on a permanent vacation, or basically, it's not that she's on that the framing is more that she has some vacation time due, some vacation that suddenly showed up. It's so much vacation that it's going to last from here until when her contract expires.
And guess what? You said a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. That's exactly when all of this started happening, right? That's when all these events started happening. May the 4th, Gina putting that out there. Look at my toys. Aren't they great? The within a few days of that, we have the Emmy thing. It's all happening within the last few days. It's because I believe that the sword, and it was about the same time that the Lucasfilm story group Flying Monkeys vanished from Twitter for a while, right? When they vanished from Twitter, that was when they've been told the boss is out, and they all hid. They all hid, right, in terror when they were told the boss is out. And that's when all these things started happening. This Variety article is the end of a journey. It is not, we're going to oust her. This is the end to get the town to know that it's over, right? In the same way that the Forbes article was the end of the first stage of the attack, which is I'm fighting back. I'm going to get this person who's messing up my money out. And then a month later, it's like, okay, I put all these things in place, put the first bomb out. Because it's already in place, right? That's what this is.
Exactly.
Indeed. Yeah, that is indeed what it all looks like. Like it's all coming together by the looks of it. It absolutely does.
The people in the chat are very happy with Flying Monkeys. Yeah, that's my first. Yeah. I made up Flying Monkeys. I think I even made it up on this show. But I'm going to take credit for that. Everyone's going to give me 50 cents when they use Flying Monkeys. But Lucasfilm, Flying Monkeys is my moniker.
You should make a T-shirt. Put it on Etsy.
I got to learn how to do this stuff, man. I don't know how to monetize any of this crap. I got to learn.
Oh well, we can do it for you and share it.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. That's actually, we'll get into that later. We have a couple of super chats, and while we still have you, because we only have you for so long, while we still have you, I want to go through some more super chats. There are some questions that are no doubt directed at you, so we're going to go through those first, and we'll go through every single super chat, but we'll do those ones first.
Yeah, and I've got about a half an hour or so more.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's my time frame. So yeah.
Yeah. HyperGyver2 says, Kamran, the Heart of the Jedi manuscript has been available to the general public online for nearly 15 years in various formats.
Okay. But it's and I saw someone else in the chat say that this was done on a publishing on demand. Of course they're going to do it on a publishing on demand because, Simon Schuster isn't going to put it out for copyright reasons, right? But the fact that it was done, someone took the time to put it into a book format, to get it into Amazon, and then without any advertising to alert people, obviously someone had to know. It didn't just appear on Amazon. People who didn't, there was no advertising of it. How do people know it existed? This was promoted secretly, right, to certain people to start buying it and letting other people know it exists, right? This wasn't done by somebody who just copied it off of a web page. This was done on purpose.
Well, and I think even the bigger thing was how well it was selling. It was outselling the High Republic stuff and a bunch. It was like pretty high on Amazon's seller list. Like, so I think that's what caught their attention more than anything. And that's what I was getting at earlier, is between that kind of a thing being out there, like, we can't have this. We've got some basically, non-licensed Star Wars novel outselling all ours. That's insane. Like, I could see that being a big problem.
Yeah, and I really do believe it was someone like Mr. That's very fun. Wait, did Gina Carano just put that out?
No, that was from before. This was on April Fool's Day, I think it was. Remember right?
God bless.
Yeah, Stephanie Janicek wanted us to remind. I don't know if you got a chance to see this because you were probably in Twitter jail. I think
I was in Twitter jail. I'm on the lam from Twitter right now.
Yeah, it's great to see you back on Twitter again. By the way, how did you get back on Twitter?
After me. So it is what it is. But so I'm sorry, Andre, you were saying.
Yeah, like, how did you get back onto Twitter?
You know what? Let's not talk about that because the more likely that Tommy Lee Jones will come. So let's just move on.
Yeah, that's you're completely
so
right.
Tell me, what'd you say?
Yeah,
look here at this little light.
And then getting on with the super chats, Marek Barishk, I think that's how you pronounce it, says for 25 Polish zloty. If all those rumors are true, from now Jon Favreau should be called Dr. Doom. Machiavelli would be proud.
He's absolutely right. This is absolutely true. People had underestimated Jon Favreau because he's such a nice guy and he's a corporate man, right? Well, that's because he's a corporate man, he understands how to do this. And because he's a nice guy, he's very dangerous because nice guys are always underestimated, right? I'm sure Miss Kennedy acted in the blatant ways that she acted because she wasn't afraid of him. He's a nice sort of teddy bear type guy. He doesn't want to cause waves. He wants to be a corporate man. And so she acted in ways to undercut him and humiliate him. But we saw his Machiavellianness building step by step, where he started gently deviating immediately from the idea of Kennedy Star Wars and what he did with Mandalorian. But ultimately, as the rumor is, and I believe it, that that no one inside Lucasfilm knew that Luke was coming back. It was done secretly. That's a Machiavellian move, and that's why I think that the dumb actions that were taken by Lucasfilm in the aftermath, including the firing of Gina Carano, were all actions taken by flustered people who didn't see that he had outsmarted them. They were angry because when the nice guy becomes the jerk off who suddenly has power over you, you get really resentful of the sudden switch in power dynamic, and you try aggressively to reassert it, right? And then you blow your wad. Then you make dumb missteps. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know that I don't believe that Mr. Favreau set things in motion with the intention of having Gina fired. But I think that once he saw this moment, I'm sure he's like, I can turn this around to my victory. And these people that were just acting from emotion and pride weren't able to strategize. Everything that we've seen since Gina was ousted has been pure, ruthless, cruel, Machiavellian power politics coming inside of Disney, and I have no doubt Jon Favreau is the instigator of it. I have none, because it was an attack on him personally, and he responded as a man who understands how corporations work would. Yes. So he's really dangerous.
Yeah. And then moving on with the questions for you, Michael Millard wonders, could Ron Moore be signing with Disney? Would he take? And okay, I have to rephrase this. I think what he means to say is, could Ron Moore sign with Disney? Would he take over aspects of Lucasfilm? Maybe have John transition over to films? So what he's wondering is there any way that Ron Moore of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica fame could take over Lucasfilm or aspects of Lucasfilm?
I'm a huge fan of Ron Moore. I met him once. I was on a panel with him when I was on Kings, right? And he's, I was like a fanboying on the panel. I couldn't believe, Battlestar Galactica is one of my favorite shows of the last 20 years, and he's an absolute genius. I haven't heard anything to indicate that he even wants that. I think that look, he's a creative visionary. If he got involved in Star Wars, he could only bring good things to it. But I haven't heard anything, his name floating around in any way, shape, or form around it. And he's got his own stuff. He's got that, that For Humanity Woman on the Moon show that he's doing and all that other stuff. So he's I don't know that that's a realistic thing. And I think right now the focus is on Favreau. I think Mr. Favreau has won, and now he's going to start populating the rebuilt Death Star of Lucasfilm with his people.
That's what we can hope. Stephanie Yanisek says, after the rumors I've heard, one more time. After the rumors I've heard, I don't think Kennedy will be at Spielberg's house unless Frank brings her.
I mean, I do think that she's, unfortunately, Peter principled herself out. She's made herself look incompetent and lost money for Disney and embarrassed people. And I think everyone who vouched for her is embarrassed by this. So, whatever other personal animus there is, I'm sure there is in Hollywood at that level. Like I said, they all have blackmailed each other. But on the very basic human level of just, I vouch for you, you use my name and the success of my movies like Indiana Jones to put yourself out there. And now all of that is tarnished. And so I'm sure that she's not going to be coming to a lot of cocktail parties of her own desire for, lack of conflict.
Indeed. And then SJS Hady or SJ Shady 1069 says, Hail Midnight's Edge and Kamran. I tried watching the Gina Carano episode of Running Wild last night on Disney Plus, and it wasn't there. Was it removed again?
It's on Nat Geo. I mean, it's on Nat Geo's website. If you have when I unsubscribed from Disney Plus after Gina was let go. I was very angry about it. I had subscribed when I heard when I heard that Luke Skywalker was back. So I was just there for a couple of months, right? And then I unsubscribed. So in order to watch that, I went to the Nat Geo website. And in order to access it, you just have to enter in, like I have Dish as my TV provider, and you just have to enter in your TV provider, and so that you're not trying to skim it for free. You're actually going to a TV provider, and the episode's there.
Indeed. And then Old Redneck Nerd says to Kamran, with this becoming so obvious, there has to be whispers on who is actually taking over in Hollywood.
At this point, there are no whispers. I think we saw this new gentleman who's going to replace Mr. Horn is good. That's the only whisper. It's a new name I hadn't heard before, and that's a new name that Variety has now put out there as the successor. It's kind of similar, like Chapek. I had never heard his name before, and somebody's a CEO of. His name never came up in all the years that I was there as somebody that the creatives were dealing with, right? And suddenly he's a CEO. So this gentleman, I don't know him, but now he's coming in to replace Mr. Horn, and essentially, because we don't really know who he is, it's going to be Favreau who is the face of this. So I think, for all intents and purposes, Jon Favreau has taken over. Whether someone is given the title of Lucasfilm president, I don't know that he wants that title. Someone else may be given that title. And so I'm sure right now, while Ms. Kennedy is on permanent vacation, that they're in the process of interviewing, and they may even already have a successor for the official title. But I think Mr. Favreau is officially in control now. I think it's done. I think he's the boss.
There are certainly indications to that end. And then EVA Unit 4A wonders, Kamran, at what stage does creativity return to film and TV, directly opposing bean counting? Example, Walt versus Roy. Hashtag get woke, go broke. Hashtag without respect, we reject. Hashtag Midnight's Edge. Oh, thank you. Kamran, do you think that creativity, like Walt Disney-style creativity, as opposed to Roy Disney-style bean counting, will ever return?
I think right now the only way to bring creativity back is to bring bean counting back. The last 10 years of the destruction of Lucasfilm has been people have been deluded that they're creative, right? And they've creatively taken the wrong risks and destroyed an obvious profit-making franchise. So because of that, the only way to fix it is to focus on bean counting. That's why you have someone like Mr. Chapek, who's infamous as a bean counter, right? who is actually putting it back on track. And it's a good thing right now. Profitability is the only way to return creativity, and a healthy creativity, which is actually giving the market what it wants, giving the audience what it wants, right? Mr. Favreau understands that.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing. Bean counting is the only thing that's going to save Star Wars, and it has.
Indeed. And speaking of what the audience wants.
The one, the only, lovely Lorena Creel. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you? I'm doing great.
Welcome to the party. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I just asked you that, but yeah.
It's wonderful to say, Lorena, I only got about 15, 20 more minutes. You came in just at the end of my journey, but hopefully we can transition sort of how I guess Mr. Iger is being transitioned out so that Chapek can come in.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about that.
Well, why don't you speak? I've said a lot.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining us out there, especially out there in the chat. I listened to the Q2 earnings call. It was
because we haven't spoken about that yet.
Yeah.
So give us the lowdown of the Q2 earnings call of Disney. What can we say about that?
Well, that it was pretty boring. I'm like actually putting a link in the chat to two different articles. It was pretty much all business. No super smoking guns, I would say. When I say super smoking guns, like nothing that's guns a-blazing. Mm-hmm. But two things that are indicators that not all is well. Obviously, the theme park revenue is down. I think it was down by, I'm looking here on the Motley Fool. Revenue generated by the theme parks and resorts tumbled 44% to $32 billion. Now, Disneyland just recently opened back up, but Disney World is not at capacity. So obviously they're still losing money. That really wasn't a big news thing. Also, the thing is with their subscribers for Disney Plus, that has slowed down immensely. And I put an article in the private chat from Pirates and Princesses from our friends over at Clownfish TV, authored by our other favorite person, WDW Pro.
We're gonna get it on screen here in 1 second.
Yeah, their Disney Plus subscriptions are going down for that, and they actually just instituted a $1 price increase. But they're not growing. They're not growing as much as they've wanted to right now.
Yeah. I mean, so that links into what we were saying. That what a shock! They let Miss Carano go, and things are going down.
Yeah, it's going down. I mean, there's nothing. It's like what's to watch on Disney Plus, really, outside of the Mandalorian ending, of course. They had WandaVision, which came and went, and then everything that happened with Gina Carano, and a lot of people lost their taste for watching Disney Plus. What was there to keep them? Their Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was virtue signaling trash. And what's coming up next? Loki. Who's excited about that?
Well, actually, I was a little bit, but I keep on hearing that they're going to make him a female and replace Loki with female multiverse Loki.
Exactly.
So Hiddleston will come in. Go?
Yeah, he's just like a figurehead, because Loki was not my favorite character to start out with from Thor. He grew on me. So I was really excited about the Loki series. And then I find out that it's going to focus on a female Loki, not Loki, Tom Hiddleston as we know him, that he's just kind of there for window dressing. But it's going to focus on a female character.
That's the rumor, at least. How excited does that make you, Kamran?
All of this is just leftover. Remember, to get anything, television, movies, it takes years. So these are all things that were put in development before the realities of the world changed, the politics of Hollywood were hit by the economics of that reality. So they've got this stuff they've just got to put out now that they've created, right? They know this. They knew by the time Falcon Winter Soldier was coming out that people weren't going to be excited by the stuff they had done, right? They just hoped to let it slip through, and it didn't slip through. People started tuning out, right? Which is the same thing here. Is they've got this stuff that's probably in the can. It's going to cost too much money to reshoot it, so just put it out. And that's the only thing that's going to resurrect Disney Plus at this point is Gina comes back to Star Wars. That's the only thing that's going to resurrect it. And I do believe that is a possibility. It's all up to Ms. Carano, as Lorena and I talked about. But I actually, from what Doomcock, Lorena, right after you and I talked, the next day Doomcock put out the rumor that she's been seen on set. I don't know that is true. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. But because we talked about it, if she came back, she wouldn't do it, because of Disney, or she wouldn't do it for the money. That's not her character. She would do it for her friendship with Mr. Favreau, and I believe that friendship would trump everything else.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking too, that she would never come back for Disney. She would never come back for Lucasfilm. But I maintain that if Favreau, who has really gone to bat for her, if he were to tell her, please come back for me, because I need you to tell my story, she'd come back for that, especially if there's some provision so that she can still do what she has agreed to do with Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. I don't think that she would come back for something that would take up so much time that she can't do her own stuff at the Daily Wire, but for something that can be restructured so she has a lesser part but is still a presence. I would almost be surprised if she didn't. But that's just me. I don't know.
Again, and who knows? Again, I don't know that Mr. Shapiro's thing is really moving forward. Everyone assumes that it is. I just don't know. I've never believed that production entity is ever going to get off the ground. Anyone who's followed me on Twitter knows that I don't agree with Mr. Shapiro on Middle Eastern politics, and I've been, but that's setting that aside. I don't think I haven't heard anything to the effect that they're actually doing anything. If Gina is able to get good things out of that, God bless her, and she maximized it. My instinct is they were never going to get off the ground simply because they're not able to get the level. Aside from Gina, they're just not able to get the caliber of people needed to make a successful production entity, right? Because
that's what I was wondering too. Because they have a producer, I forget his name. He's the Dallas Saunier is his name, of Bone Tomahawk fame. So he is basically their production manager. And their producer.
Yeah, and he's not someone that's going to entice Tom Hanks to come do something with them, right? And so I just don't think that's a real entity. I'm sure they'll make something, and I'm sure if Gina makes something with them, it will make money. But I'm not saying if I were Gina, I'm saying if you put me in this position, I wouldn't set my career on that. And if I was in the position that I had a good friendship with Jon Favreau and he put his career on the line to bring me back, I would come back for him, and I would probably get more out of it than a side thing with an unproven entity like Mr. Shapiro and a controversial entity like Mr. Shapiro. I would probably say, okay, I want this, this, and this, and this, right? I want the Rangers to come back, and I want to have creative input on the scripts, and I want to do. That's what I would do. I would actually use this to leverage more power into Disney. My instinct is, if Miss Carano comes back, it won't be announced, and it'll be like it'll be the return of Luke Skywalker. It'll be just
it'll be the Skywalker moment.
Yeah, it'll just be like the end of the pilot of Boba Fett or wherever it'll be like. And she comes in with a gun, and everyone freaks out because they've already seen that method works. You got to surprise them, and then people will stop saying, "Where's the press release of apology?" They'll just be happy she's back. That's what I think is going to happen. And I've so far been right about everything.
You have indeed. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're right about that. I think that honestly, that would probably be the only thing that could top the Skywalker moment.
Yeah, and I think it will. I think it will. It will shatter it because there's so much emotion, just like there's so much emotion around Luke. But Luke, we had years to process it. We're still scarred by what happened to Gina. She comes back now. People will be jumping up and down. You'll be seeing YouTube videos of people's reactions for the next several weeks.
Exactly. But on that note, Lorena, I know that we only have you for a very limited time, just as we have Kamran. The disastrous second quarter results, and anyone, let me know when you have to bow out. But before you do, Lorena, the Disney Q2 results. Is there more to say about it?
No, I shouldn't say that. Besides the fact that it was strictly business, one of the things that did stand out in this particular call is just how much more quote unquote assured Bob Chapek is talking to not the shareholders, the investors, because there's a difference. The shareholder event that was held, the annual shareholders meeting, that was, the great unwashed being able to talk to the CEO. The investor call is where they have a special group of hand-picked people from hand-picked hedge funds that get to interface with Mr. Chapek and the CFO Meg. I keep calling her Cruella DeVille in my back of my mind because that's that she does remind me of that. And she just does. Chapek is much more. He has much more gravitas when he's speaking, but I think it also is because he's building more alliances with people. And Iger had a lot more polish. Chapek is trying to reorganize things that are going on in the background. So just noticing just how Bob Chapek seems to be more at ease speaking with the investors. I want to say that he's kind of learned how to relate to them better and sees them more as allies, which they are, but to him, that they are. But yeah, nothing seriously groundbreaking. It was pretty boring call as boring calls go. No real smoking gun questions from the investors who were on the, not investors, excuse me. Yeah, they are actually investors who were on the call. Nothing. The hedge fund owners, the hedge fund owners. Nothing. No smoking gun questions at all. Like I said, the two big things are just one. As much as they try to spin how great Disney Plus is, subscriptions are down. The theme parks are still losing money, and they're not back, opening capacity. Bob Chapek did say that because in Florida they are lifting. I mean, the governor signed an executive order to basically lift the mask mandates, but businesses can still impose them. Mm-hmm. He said something to the effect that could also bring more changes to Disney World, but didn't say exactly what those were going to be.
Yeah, well, this is the thing on the mask issue, right? He's got to be very careful on that. My understanding is people are coming to Disney World. I personally believe if Disney World as a company, as an entity, lifted its own internal mask mandate, more people will come. And I believe where we are right now in the country is more people are psychologically there and ready for it. But he can't say that publicly because those who are very passionate and believe that masks are what's keeping everyone alive will immediately attack him. So he's got to do that in a way. He's got to wait for the moment where he's not going to be attacked by people who are very emotional on the issue.
Yeah, especially given where the two parks are. California, it's more of a, oh my gosh, we have to keep the mask mandate. Florida is more of just like, we need to keep people freaking working. Yeah. And that's the only park that's been open for quite a while. So yeah, Kamran, you're absolutely right. He does. But also another thing that I want to tell people is how much money does Disney make with these masks?
Oh, yeah. So they're selling Mickey Mouse masks and things?
Oh, yeah. That's a big thing. You cannot, there's certain masks that you're allowed to wear. Like you can't have the ones that don't have like things.
So it's like food. You can't bring your own. You have to buy. You have to buy food in the parks, and you can't bring your own mask. You have to wear a Mickey Mouse mask. Is that kind of like what they're going with?
You can bring your own mask, but it has to be within certain guidelines. Like you can't come into Disney World with a bandana tied around your face. No, they won't let you do that. It's got to have ear loops and all of that. But Disney does make a considerable amount of money, like with all merchandising, with the masks that they have, because they make money off of that. It's like, I almost want to say it's one of the cheapest souvenirs that you can get when you go to the parks. Okay, cool. Let's get masks. We'll go ahead and do them. So they'll go and they'll get these masks. So Disney is making a considerable amount of money off of some of those masks. I think some of them, the profit goes to charity, but they're but they're making
a
money.
portion of the profit. I mean, you know how this works, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. But I see. I'm sorry, Tom. What are you saying?
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that's something you can actually generally ask about if it's not available in print. Because I noticed one time when I was working for I'm not going to say which, but a fast food restaurant that was doing selling little leaflet things for charity. And they were like $1 a piece, and you get to put your name on it, and you tape it up, and all that kind of prestige and all that stuff. Well, if you read the fine print on it, only 10% of the proceeds actually went to the charity, meaning 10 cents on every dollar actually went to the charity. It didn't say what the rest of the money was used for. You know,
overhead.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how it works for it. But I wanted to address, our friend Drunk 3PO.
Oh yeah, I was going to too, but I'll let you go. Or do you want me to go?
No, you go.
Okay, so I was going to say, so hey Jay, he says people are not going to Disney World; they're going to Universal. Universal has hit capacity almost every day this month. I was at Disney Sunday, and if you saw the live stream, it was empty. Yeah, I totally believe you, because when I was there in December, which is like a crush of freaking humanity of people, Universal again hit capacity every day. I believe it. For Universal, you don't need an advanced park reservation at all. So it's basically you can go see if you can get in. If you're a Universal Resort guest, even if the parks are at capacity, you still get to go in. Disney doesn't have that kind of perk. You get to go in. And if you're a Universal pass holder, the top 2 tiers, they also let you in. So
do you know the mask? Because people are asking, do you know the mask policy at Universal? Is it the same as Disney? You got to wear one.
Yeah, you have to wear one. Same thing with like loops and stuff like that. I mean, you do.
So then the issue is not mask. The issue is really people have lost faith in Disney as a brand. And they're just
absolutely. It's more than just the mask thing. When I tell people, it's a value thing. When you go to Disney and you're charging me everything from $25, I think it's maybe $30 to park my car. If I'm staying on property, which used to be free, like if you stayed on property, you could park your car on property for free. Can't do that anymore. It ranges from like $18 to $25 a day to park your car. Then all of the souvenirs have increased in price. The food has increased in price. What do you really get in exchange for being a pass holder? You don't get anything.
So Drunk 3PO, Jay is saying the mask policy is very different, though I don't know the differences. So I don't know if Jay, you want to put it in the chat, or if you want to come on here for a second and explain it, because I don't know what the differences are. But there's a difference. It may be a factor.
Has it changed?
I mean, I will say this. I think it's fascinating to watch. Again, we don't have to get political, but it's fascinating to watch how the conversation on masks has changed, especially just in the last 24 hours with the current president saying that, his sort of jumbled way of saying that if you have a vaccine, you don't have to wear a mask. If you don't have one, wear one. Well, everyone, since there's no way to prove you have the vaccine, everyone's going to take them off, right?
Absolutely. Legoland has no mask policy. And I kind of believe that now because, DeSantis signed that executive order, which, also mask mandate.
And Legoland is targeted to children in particular, right?
Yes.
And so, certainly people in LA believe children should be wearing masks. I'm not sure everyone agrees with that.
No, they don't.
People would prefer not to do it.
But yeah, Culture, thank you for that $5 super chat. Yeah, Lorena's right on the loss of value. I have a long-term project tracking it right now. Yeah, Disney is their value. There's no value to going there. Universal has much more value. Smaller parks like Gatorland, which is one of my personal favorites to go to. Gatorland, the Fun Spot. There's a park called Icon Park that almost looks like they basically took the London Eye from London and dropped it into Orlando. There's all
the Eye of Sauron.
The Eye of Sauron.
It looked like to me. I don't know.
But those parks are offering much more value than Disney. So even when the mask mandate is lifted, Disney has such a loss in value. It's nowhere near attractive as it used to be.
And as Cameron has requested, welcome Drunk 3PO, also known as Jay. How are you this morning?
Hey Jay.
Hey Lorena. Hey everybody else.
Hey.
Good morning.
I guess
good afternoon, whatever it is where you live.
I guess everybody else. Whatever, it's fine. fine.
I won't be too long, but Lorena is 100% correct. The mask policy at Universal Studios is very lax. They let you take your mask off for pictures. Even if you have a drink in your hand, you can have your mask off walking around the park. You can wear different types of masks at Universal, such as neck gaiters and everything else. It's very, very lax. Disney is very, very strict. You got to have a certain type that goes around your ears. And they do have people standing around every 100 yards saying, put your mask on, put your mask on, put your mask on, put your mask on. Legoland is like, just don't be breathing on people. Basically, when you walk in there, it's like, just kind of keep your distance.
Don't talk on face.
Yeah, I was there a couple days ago, and they were just like, yeah, you don't really need a mask. So just, just don't be weird. So,
that's the economics of it now. People in the industry only care about the economics, and they're going to see that difference, right? And they're going to see Universal's making money. And so that's going to mean that Disney's going to pressure our brilliant, genius, glorious leader, Gavin Newsom, to end this crap here as well. He already actually said last week, although he's already backtracked, that he's going to end the mask.
Well, here's the issue. If Lorena has to go, I know I didn't want to keep her, but she can agree to me that what Universal did after the pandemic was basically give everyone the best absolute option. They were giving away free tickets. They were giving this. If you were an annual pass holder, they gave you like months extension. They gave you like 40 to 50% discount if you used your annual pass. Disney didn't do anything. They were like, sorry, we're going to charge a little bit more money. We're going to do this. We're going to do that because we need the money.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't a value to go. When Universal was, they saw blood in the water, according to the theme parks here, and they just said, we're going to make it happen. And as soon as the governor here lifted restrictions, they went full force with it, while Disney was like, my problem is, the guy that I spoke to at Disney was like, they're making it very strict here in Orlando because they wanted their park to open in California, because the governor, if we didn't know, the governor was sending all kinds of people for a week's free stay here in Orlando to travel to Disney World and all this stuff, because Disneyland, they wanted Disneyland open. So they're like, Governor, go to Orlando. Here's a free week. Here, send your family. Send the people. I don't know why that story didn't get more traction. It's disgusting. While he's telling everybody, be on lockdown, be on this, but I'm going to go to Orlando and Disney World and walk around and have a good time while I keep my state closed. And they were here. It made the local news here multiple times, but I think that's what Disney was doing. But they did not give a value for people that were return customers. So it's just people were choosing to go somewhere else. So
that's what we saw here. I don't know how much longer we have you, Cameron, but Golgo13, aka Brandon the Infinite Wolf, says basically what Jay is kind of saying there. For me, it's simple. I cannot and will not wear a mask. I will not go any place that demands this garbage. That is my wallet being closed. And again, I can't speak for everyone, but I think for the most part, we can agree it should be more of a choice thing. But again, I can't speak for everyone on that.
Yeah.
So,
we have already argued about it, and I don't think we need to argue about
it.
No,
exactly.
Fighting over it, it's pointless.
Kamran, before you have to go, we have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
I don't know if you have
then
2 minutes or 5. Yeah, exactly. Real quick. Club Star Wars wondered, do you have any prediction of when the general public will know that KK has gone?
I think that what Doomcock suggested is right. I think that basically this fall is when she's going to be given many awards, and they'll be given a lot of special ceremonies where she'll be, basically given her retirement package. And you'll know that it's coming when they announce her Lifetime Achievement Award in the trades. Here's my next prophecy that you can clip. The next prophecy. That her date has been set.
Kamran, wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. Repeat that.
You will know when Ms. Kennedy has been formally set aside with a new person to replace her, when the trades start talking about her getting Lifetime Achievement Awards, special ceremonies that are honoring her, when the praise starts coming in the trade about her legacy, when you start seeing these articles coming in the trades, you'll know that all of it has been resolved, and resolved in the sense that I believe Ms. Kennedy is already out, and rightfully so after what she did to Ms. Carano, the unfairness of what she did to Gina Carano. But I'm not sure that they found the replacement to serve at least as figurehead leader of Lucasfilm. That's what this process is going to be for the next several weeks. And so once that has been done, once they have their new regime ready to go, you'll start hearing about all the wonderful accolades of her legacy and all of that in the trades. So I predicted trade articles and news articles, and they have consistently come true. Let's see if this one comes true. I think it will.
Awesome. Very cool. There we have like a perfect ending for the clip video we're going to be making.
See, Andre's always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
So he's a businessman, so it's all good. And you any more super chats for me? Otherwise, I have to.
I am going through them real quickly right now to see if there's something before you have to run, because I know you have to run. I hope I don't miss anyone. There's a chance I might.
I have to run to have a phone call at 2.
Jay.
I'm a little bit late, but I just want to say that Lorena, always a pleasure, and of course everyone else.
Yes.
Everyone else.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, thanks for dropping by. All right. No, Mexican Iron Man says for $24.99. Muchas gracias, amigo. Hail, my brothers. All three of you, happy Friday and assalamu alaikum. Enjoying the show.
You're getting better at that, Andre.
Well, thank you. Say, how is it? Is assalamu alaikum? Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
And the response is alaikum salam.
Correct. You're getting there, right? You're getting there.
Thank you. Anyway, moving on. Mexican Iron Man says, enjoying the show from Interstate 10 on the way to South Carolina. Hee-haw, hail my great brothers, Tom, Andre, and Kamran. P.S. Jedi book author on EBN tomorrow, Saturday at 7 p.m. Very
okay,
cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah, excellent. And I'm just going to see if there is anything else. Michael Millard wonders, why is the only exception to all these rules Kurtzman? That would be Alex Kurtzman, who is messing up Star Trek over at Viacom CBS.
I don't know that he's exception. I think, Viacom has its own internal politics. Like, they could not get rid of Miss Kennedy at Disney by their own internal politics. I think Kurtzman is protected by his internal politics, and he's part of the J.J. Abrams camp, and people don't want to alienate J.J. Abrams. So there's that thing that he gets to glom onto that, but he has lost him a lot of money and alienated the fan base, and they know that. I mean, my understanding is that the franchisers don't want to make toys for this kind of stuff, and it's, they know the position they're in. It's just, look, it's the Hollywood shuffle. You can't just oust people like that, unless you're me. And you just say, okay, you're done on Tron, leave now, right? Unless you're me. But, at that level of the game, you just can't oust people, even if they're losing you money, because you're trying not to get all their allies to come at you and pull you from your job. You're just trying to minimize the revenge that's going to come. And so you've got to set things in motion slowly and steadily. And I don't have any doubt that those same wheels are turning, that it took those wheels were turning of Miss Kennedy since The Last Jedi. And it's been like 4 or 5 years of this, right? And so it takes time with people at that level of power.
Indeed, yeah, there you go. And I'm just having a quick browse to see if there are any more addressed to you. Ray Young 74 says for £5 to Kamran, that which is given has no value. Quote from Racek in Starship Troopers. Yes.
Starship Troopers was a good movie, and it was very prescient in many ways.
I love that movie. I don't know what people have against it. So, yeah. But I never read the book, so it might be something to that, though. And let's see if there's some other. I hope I'm not missing anything as I am browsing through this real quickly. Goddess of Whim says for $10, who misses Michael Eisner? He really wasn't the evil in Disney back then. It was Katzenberg. I recommend the documentary Walking Sleeping Beauty. It's a fair look at the history of Disney 84 to 89. Thanks for that. And the importer, here's one. Every time Kamran speaks on Midnight's Edge, someone in Hollywood screeches.
too
Well,
funny.
you know,
Oh my gosh, can you do that again, Andre?
No.
is that a Viking battle cry?
That
Modern
was-
life is 21st
I don't think
century?
I've ever heard that noise come out of Andre
Oh
before.
my gosh, that's too freaking funny.
Well, I'm glad to know that I'm sure my agents aren't delighted that I come on this kind of thing and say this kind of stuff about powerful people. I'm sure they don't like it, but I got nothing better to do than speak the truth. So whatever.
Yeah, and I'm
We love
sure
that. We
that
love you for it.
yes, we do. We're so glad and so grateful every time you grace us with your presence. So we'll always make the time whenever you have the opportunity. So it's always a pleasure to have you here.
That's a good transliteration because you
You know
got the
what's-
W part of it.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is for somebody who claims they cannot sing one bit, there was
No,
such
I can't.
a musical note to that. I don't know.
I love it.
Very
Or
melodious.
I probably can, but I'm not going to because we'd lose our entire audience.
I
All right, look, I
can.
gotta start
yeah.
winding down. Anything left, or are we?
I think that I'm going to do a quick refresh here real
Well,
quick.
while you're doing that, Andre, I just want to take the moment to thank Cameron for coming in and joining us this morning. That was great. Oh, we got Paulie in the back as well. Welcome, Paulie.
Oh, Paul,
Hey, Folly. Hola.
Sorry, I didn't hear you pop in. Here, we got another Nice hat, Paulie.
I'm sorry, boss. I wanted to say hi to Cameron before he left.
Sorry about that. I didn't even see you.
what a delight, my friend. And now that things are even less crazier in Los Angeles, I'd love to come by and see you in Romian again whenever you guys are available. I know she's got a new gig. So
She's back.
Nice.
She's in between shoots. Yeah, she's a lead detective on CSI Vegas.
Nice.
That's wonderful. That's good.
That's
That's
very, very cool. Look forward to that.
It makes for a happy home.
anyone getting work right now in this town is a blessing. It's normally a blessing, but in this environment, getting any income in this industry is really magical. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's great to see you on and just hitting the knowledge in the first. I was listening to this first hour, the first half of the show. I had to walk the dogs, take care of business here, but it's always great hearing you, Cameron and Lorena, just breaking down the numbers and the facts, man. So what a great show it is today. Great people in the chat. I'm so excited.
that's all good. Well, I want to just answer one person who's said this in the chat a few times, and then I'm going to take off, which is they were asking, how is it possible that J.J. Abrams has such power when, in their view, he ruins franchises? Well, because it hasn't stuck to him. Amazingly, he's like Teflon. All the things that we as fans may criticize about where he took Star Trek and Star Wars hasn't stuck within the industry. What happened with Star Wars did stick with Miss Kennedy. She wasn't able to get that stink off of her, and the stink got bigger and bigger, and now it's over, in my view. Whereas Mr. Abrams remains Teflon. And the reason he does that is he does something and he moves on. So the one thing that he did that he was forced to come back to was Star Wars, but he immediately moved on from it. The moment the movie was done, he gave like one interview and he was out. You don't hear he never talks about Star Wars again. And that's his genius, is that he doesn't let his identity be associated. You don't think this is the guy that made Mission Impossible. You never associate him with anything, right? He just comes and he goes. And that's how he survives, in my view.
Yeah. Kamran, real quick, a yes or no question before I know we have to leave any moment.
I gotta get out of
House Atreides says, Kamran, do you think there will be any real change in Disney movie making, like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, with their diversity quotas?
If you're talking about the diversity quotas, and I think our colleagues here, especially Paulie and Lorena, can really give perspectives on this after I leave, because I got to hop after this question. That's always going to be part of the corporate gobbledygook speak that they have to do, right? That's they have to do that for PR purposes, internal PR of seeming righteous and all that other stuff, right? I think Marvel is going to figure it out. Marvel's about to go through what Lucasfilm went through, which is get woke, go broke. And Marvel has been a little too complacent with all the success it's had, and is about to learn those lessons, starting with Falcon Winter Soldier, right? Let's go learn that. But now Marvel is a different part of the curve. It's in an earlier part of the curve. Lucasfilm is at a later part of the curve. So now that you have a person like Jon Favreau, who is naturally and authentically a diverse storyteller, he doesn't think about it, he just puts in the right people, right? Carl Weathers comes, I got a black man, right? You just put him in, right? Because he's the right guy for the role, right? You don't think about it, right? That's how, and that's where Star Wars is going to get back to, which is just natural diversity that Star Wars has always had without any kind of political agenda. Marvel is going to take a little bit of time and a few more failures. I don't think this next level of the MCU is going to work. I think they're going to have to learn from that the hard way. So God willing, within 1 year, we're going to stop grumbling about Star Wars and we're just going to be grumbling about Marvel on these channels. And that'll be a development. That'll be a nice development. I'm tired of Star Wars.
We'll take what we can get at this point.
Yeah.
All right. With all my colleagues, and Paulie, please forgive me. You just came on. I have to leave. I'm a little bit already late. So I thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to be on here and share my little prophecies, which so far it's amusing because so far they've all come true. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep coming and Nostradamusing my way through this. Right?
Hey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'll hit you. I'll give you a text, man. We'll get you. Let's
absolutely. Let's get together. I'd love you back.
Let's grill this time. Yeah. Last time we did not grill.
Grill sounds good. I'll bring in some salmon.
Man, I'm jealous.
I'll bring some kosher hot dogs too. Sounds good.
Well, you guys are always invited. Just get to LA.
and Andre, I'm gonna send you a DM. I think that T-shirt idea is actually pretty good. I'd like to.
I'm gonna DM you about exactly the same.
Yeah, I think I like a piece of that. I think there's something there, and I'll take.
Yeah, obviously, of course, your idea. So we'll work on that together. We'll go into business.
God bless everyone. If you don't like my Middle Eastern tweets, ignore them. Otherwise, I hope you're all cool.
Take care, Cameron, and have a great day. And Lorena, how much longer do we have you for?
You have me for about 10 minutes.
10 minutes? All right.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Very cool indeed.
What did you want to do with that 10 minutes, Andre? You got some super chats, or was there another story you wanted to get?
No, we have just went through the ones dealing with Kamran. So let's talk about some other things before we continue the super chats for as long as we have Lorena. Before that, Paulie, do we have any time deadline for you, or are you here? You're muted.
I tell you, man, it's not a Poly day on YouTube if I don't boomer my damn mic every day. I'm doing that every day. I'm here I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Okay, awesome. Yes, very, very cool. Just like it, so I know what we have to deal with. Well, actually, and the manga fan has the great idea. Well, that moved quickly there, but yeah, thank you, Kamran. See you indeed. It's always great to have Kamran here. Yes. But the one I meant to highlight before it moved on me, and the manga fan suggests He-Man. And I think that would be real juicy, and I would also like to get Lorena's input. Now, I don't assume that you grew up being a fan of He-Man. That's not what I'm saying, but I would like your thoughts on the new artwork in any event. Tom, any chance you can bring that up on screen?
Of the He-Man artwork?
Yeah, especially of the ladies. I don't know if you've seen it already, Lorena. But
I have. I'm biting my tongue because yes, I was a fan of He-Man. I was more a fan of She-Ra, not the new crap that they did. the old school, She-Ra.
OG.
Yeah, OG. So when I don't know how I feel about this.
This is Kevin Smith's.
Yes, this is Kevin Smith's He-Man. And I will say right away that I think that the art for the male characters looks great. The voice cast that has been announced is some of the best voice cast I've seen ever in my life.
It's amazing.
Like I went on Mr. H Reviews channel, and we were both really fawning and fanboying over that voice cast. I couldn't believe it. It was beyond our wildest dreams. But of course, then we had this troubling rumor from Clownfish TV. So massive kudos to Clownfish, who were the ones that first broke the scoop that even Kevin Smith personally had to try to debunk on Twitter. That He-Man, he's just there to begin with, and then he kind of gets narratively jettisoned while it becomes the Tila show. So then Tila has to look really good. Tom, if you can scroll down, or otherwise find the pictures of the ladies.
Where's Tila?
There we go.
This is what pissed me off.
I'm still waiting for the pictures of the ladies. Oh.
Yeah, me too. Just first of all, I got a comment about Evil Lynn. Okay, I did no.
I don't.
I just no. It's okay. God, where are boobs? Anyway, that's just me. This is how I look at stuff. Tila, just no. They gave her like a butch haircut. She doesn't have boob armor. Tila, she could kick your ass, but she was feminine, and that was the attraction, especially for girls watching the show, because you got to see Tila, as feminine as she was still kicking ass.
Yeah, see, this one here isn't so bad. This is
that I like. That
well, opinions are divided on the subject, because I look at that. Someone I put a tweet out, and there was, I don't recall exactly who said it, so sorry about that, but kudos to you. I actually agree. Like, that kind of looks like an Olympic from the old East Germany team.
She is a little butch. She is a little butch.
She's a little 1976 Montreal Olympics.
Really because I saw that, and my head kind of went to the side. Like, it just
we need the Lorena, we need the weightlifting chalk on the hands and the stubble on the female chin.
Are you really female or not? Oh my gosh! And Prince Adam.
My name is Tila.
What are you talking about? I like men.
I love men.
Okay,
I love He-Man. He's my boy.
Hey, Lorena. I'm sorry. I don't want to go there.
No, I will give you that. I was talking more about the costume, I guess, maybe.
Also on that
note,
I also think it's like very, because you see, like, next to Tila in that image, you have like her friend, which appears to be drawn in the image of Castor Semenaya. So kudos for that. And then there's is that Orko, or is that supposed to be Driel?
That's I think there's some people debating that as well.
I hope that's not Orko.
I hope not, because no, I can't.
I do fear it's going to be, though.
Yeah, me too.
This is making the Frank Langella movie amazing.
Yes, it is.
Well, what's sad is you've got like half of a decent looking concept here, and then the rest of it's like, what?
Everything is great. I mean, look at He-Man.
This is
look at the sorceress, and
we're being a little harsh. I know we're being a little
gorgeous. Skeletor, I like that.
That's
Skeletor has never looked better.
Yeah,
he looks like the perfect combination between the 2000 series and the OG Filmation series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the right amount of detail, but not like overly detailed like he was in the 2000 series.
And then Mossman, I believe, is voiced by Alan Oppenheimer, who voiced the original Skeletor in the original series.
I think you're right.
And the voice cast is just amazing. But like,
this doesn't match, though. Look at that. You guys, like, you look at the rest of these pictures, and this feels completely out of place.
He looks really wimpy. I'm sorry, that's not what he looked like in the original.
I mean, Prince Adam?
Yeah,
but that was an animation thing. The intention was actually always for Prince Adam to be a little bit wimpy and then become the massive He-Man, but in the animation series to be more in line with the He-Man toys, where they never bothered to make a separate mold for Prince Adam, because they took him from Conan.
Same thing with animation. It was easier to just
all right. I'll give him that.
I'll give
it almost, Andre. It almost looks like, hey Tom, let's get this one panel in of those
Isn't
people.
You're right. You're right. I
It
mean,
really does.
because granted, like I give Andre, like, yeah, she's looking mighty butch here, but outside of that, the costume pretty close to the OG costume.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
I think
like
she
the
looks pretty
costume.
That's what I was
She's
getting.
got-
Yeah.
She's got, it's nice. It's like she's got a for lack of better words, she's got a nice round bottom with a nice, muscular hips. I like that.
I mean, I
I'm
can see
not so
where
sure
she's
about
going.
that face. Like to me, because everyone was talking
Uh,
about. Look,
I'm
I
not
own
looking
that
at the
picture.
face,
I don't
yeah.
mind like the body so much. It's the face, and
Okay.
it's a combination of the face and the facial features. Then with the build that
Are you
gives
trying
me
to-
like those East Europe associate or East Germany, I should say,
I
traditional Eastern European
Yes.
Olympics associations.
especially with the shoulders
I thought that
you
was
can only
the-
get with the shoulder pads.
This is the He-Man. This is the 1976 Montreal Olympics edition.
How many commercials and jokes were made about the East German swimming team?
Honestly, back then
Not
it scared
enough, I
the
don't
crap out of me when I saw that because I was really into watching the Olympics back
Yeah.
then. Like that was the only thing to watch on TV at that time. It was cool, but then it was like, who are these people? And they're lifting this, anyways.
Oh, I really hope they don't screw it up because He-Man is one of those. They already effed up She-Ra. All right.
Yeah, but luckily this is like a new attempt because like
I like that.
the DreamWorks She-Ra, because actually it was more of a DreamWorks production than it was a Netflix production. It
Yes.
was on Netflix, but it was made by DreamWorks, whereas this is a proper Netflix production made ground up by Netflix
Okay.
as the production company. So this
Okay.
has no link whatsoever to Noelle Stevenson's She-Ra, which I
Well,
have never seen
thank
because it obviously was never made for me.
No, don't.
This, however, this is
Well-
made for me. I'm the target audience here.
Yeah, that's true, Andre. But I was just going to also point out, as we've been kind of learning in some of our research, part of that also may be that already because that She-Ra may have already passed back to Universal, unlike Masters of the Universe completely, because there's a all kinds of convoluted rights issues right now. So
Mhm.
like, there's even a point to be made that She-Ra and He-Man are not even technically in the same universe. The only thing that crosses over is
Mhm.
Hordak, and that's because of the same kind of a deal like Quicksilver with the X-Men Avengers deal back in the day, and
No,
that's the
I'm
only
fine
thing,
with
yeah.
that. I mean, the male designs are all fantastic, so I'd love to see a Hordak version in here. That would be sweet. But what's not so sweet is that Lorena, you
Yeah.
regrettably have to leave us for the day.
Yeah, I gotta get back to work.
Don't leave us, Lorena.
I gotta go.
If you leave now, you take away the best part of the stream.
No te vayas, mi reina.
You guys are too sweet.
Please don't go.
Dun, 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 dun.
And I like that guitar.
Yeah. See, this is why Paulie and I work well together. It's like a band.
It's like a band.
That's a classic. track.
Lorena, it was great seeing you.
Oh, likewise. Always great hanging out with you guys. Thank you guys so much in the chat for hanging out with us. I appreciate that. And I will see you all around. Have a
Awesome.
wonderful rest of the day.
Take care of yourself.
Indeed.
Bye.
Yeah, and to go off of I mean, I sadly Lorraine had to leave, and I think she's got a point here because I'm going to point this out. The trailer hasn't dropped yet. I'm expecting it any time today. I was hoping it would be before the show, but these are clearly probably shots from the first trailer, which I'm willing to bet this is all from the first episode.
Oh,
So that by
probably, yeah.
the end of the first episode, I think you're right, Andre. I think this is concluding the final battle with He-Man and Skeletor. And then it's going to set up the show for this shit.
Yeah,
And if that's
those
the
may
case,
be our heroes. Tila and Evelyn teaming up, which is fine. There's precedent for that.
but
Yeah.
it would actually be like, Kevin Smith, you're full of shit, and you lied on Clownfish TV bad. Because if this show turns out to be like you just said, the Tila runs everything show with the super, and that's another thing that goes along with this whole like SJW bullshit interjecting into the shows, like with Evil Lynn being part of the good guys too. That's, or at least on this, like it's always something about making a villain sympathetic. But I was really looking forward to this. I do hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope that I'm overthinking this, and this is just, I mean, that could be maybe way later in the show. I hope that's the case, but
I hope it doesn't happen at all, but probably it does. Probably it does. And that actually hurts me because I was looking forward to this a whole hell of a lot more than any kind of live action thing, especially with Noah Centineo being the lead. He has dropped out, so like all clear on that for the time being. But this is something that I really, really wanted to like. Like, He-Man is a franchise that means more to me than most others. Like, I have no personal investment into Star Wars, and I've never claimed I have. But He-Man is vital beyond words to me. Like, where franchises are concerned, that's that was my introduction to everything else. Hell, it was my introduction to English.
Yeah, I remember you've told me that way early on when I first met you, and that was one of the first things you and I kind of bonded over was He-Man. So this is something you and I have really kind of kept on top of, and every time there's been even just the slight hint of something, we get a little bit excited, or in this case now a little bit more cautious, because prior to this, outside of that initial kind of synopsis, I would say we were all pretty excited for the voice cast. For
I was again, you should have heard me and Mr. H fawning over the voice cast announcements on there. So yeah, it's a shame if the story is, shall we say, compromised for political purposes. And just looking at these pictures, it fits right in with what Clownfish was reporting. It really does. And I wish it wasn't so, because this is one that I will report on, or we will report on as it is, but it will hurt more.
Yeah. And as Zelda, the Princess of Heart, points out here, Evil Lynn and Tila had a whole episode of Filmation cartoon working together.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like we were kind of pointing out.
I think it was the House of Chakotay. I believe that's the one it was. I think there were several episodes. Yeah. It was like a double episode with the two of them stranded in the desert or something. I think it was a House of Chakotay, something like that. Yeah,
very similar episodes to that effect in lots of different kinds of shows. But no, that's what I was saying. I do remember, I think Andre said there was precedence for it. And yeah, I remember that too. And again, I have no issue with that. It's how they'll do it. If they make her like,
how brilliant
misunderstood.
Was? In Batman the animated series, you had like you had like Harley and Poison
Right. I was just going to bring up them as an example.
Those episodes were amazing. Well, it was the writer of those episodes, Paul Dini. Before he wrote the practice he actually got from pairing up Tila and Evil Lynn in He-Man, because he was the one who did that before he went on to co-create Harley Quinn and pair her up with Poison Ivy.
Yeah, the original Filmation series, as we pointed out many times, has some great pedigree attached to it.
It does. It's amazing pedigree. Like the people that were in that, they went on to do so many awesome things all across the industry.
Or even came from things, because it wasn't like DC Fontana. Didn't she write a couple episodes, or at least one that I can think of, I think.
Yeah. On that note, Mariko Ann says, I was excited until Clownfish got the rumors and Smith lashed out. Also, the fact that they think giving Tila a side shave is extremely off-putting. Well, it kind of goes with the visuals, so at least they are consistent in their redesign. I think we can give them that to put it on the positive side. So at least it's consistent. It's not what we would want, but if you want to give an Eastern Euro or Eastern German Olympics makeover today, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paulie, anything to add to this Masters of the Universe? Were you a big fan as a kid, or were you a little old by the time, a little out of date for you? Or did we lose Paulie?
I think Paulie is
He said be
otherwise
right back.
occupied.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's
Sorry about that.
otherwise occupied behind
All
the
right,
scenes.
while we don't have Paulie, then why don't we hit some super chats on?
Yes, because we do have those. We do have super chats. Let's see if there's some I can bring up on screen. In addition to Marigo and so let's begin with those because otherwise going to be a mess to try to sort out the ones we've read from we don't. Tyrus Plain, my fellow Norwegian, says Andre, the Starship Troopers movie was a piece of shit. The book is a good quality work of sci-fi art. P.S. My mother read the book to me when I was young. I have dyslexia. Very, very cool. I'm glad to hear that that you have awesome memories of it. And I understand that having read the book, the movie probably isn't going to be for you. That being said, I have never read the book. For what I have seen is the movie and judged it completely on its own merit as a satire on war propaganda. You have to see it through that lens because this is something that has to be completely separated from the fact that it is an adaptation. Probably it would have been better if Verhoeven did like he did with RoboCop. Instead of calling it Judge Dredd, he made a completely different thing, namely RoboCop, but really it's Judge Dredd. Kind of like it's changed up, it not made him a robot and stuff to humanize him, ironically, but it started out as Judge Dredd. RoboCop really did, yes. And I feel that they should have done the same with Starship Troopers, like changed the title and otherwise kept the same basic movie, because then we wouldn't have this thing. Because I think it's when comparing it with the book that it doesn't hold up, but judged as on its own merits, as a satire on a totalitarian society ruled by propaganda. Rewatch the movie and see it through that lens. View it as that. You'll find it's actually a really, really good movie. That at least is my opinion on it. Opinions may differ, but that is one. Let's see if there's any more that I can bring up on screen before we get back into the classics. Marigoan clarifies. Sorry, good idea to give Tila a side shave. Yeah, we caught your drift. Even if I read it exactly, I think everyone understood the intention. And T00 set N0CE 2 snooze maybe says my friend just now. Instead of man at arms, it'll be man e genders. My God, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. You may have nailed it. Kudos for that. That was an awesome play on the names and tribute to what was there. With that, let's get into the classic super chats that I can no longer bring up on screen. Roll Titan says, with all their virtue signaling birthday wishes, Star Wars Twitter hasn't wished George Lucas happy birthday yet today. Is it his birthday? Oh, in that case, happy birthday, George Lucas. We will certainly wish him happy birthday, even if the Star Wars Twitter won't. And Disney really needs to get on that. Nicholas Horton says, apparently most of those screenshots are from the first episode before the time skip takes place. Oh, there's a time skip. Okay, brilliant. That's only goes to prove even further. So He-Man is gone, and then there's a time skip. Tila show. Got it. Fantastic. Looking more and more forward to it by the moment. Tiberius Monk says, I feel in moments like this, pictures don't tell the full story. They should be watched with the show and judged in its full context at that point. I agree, and I hope that all the leaks and all the rumors are untrue. And if they are not untrue, I still hope that they have managed to pull a good show out of the hat. So fingers crossed for that, because I want this to be good. Then Deborah Young says, hell, I just wanted to say I'm at work. Maybe she says, hello, I just wanted to say I'm at work, and I just happened to see this great news. Couldn't happen to a nicer lady, referencing Kathleen Kennedy, with a big fat ha ha ha. And Nicholas Horton says, they race-swapped Andra, another red-headed character gone bye-bye. Is that supposed to be Andra? I haven't done research on it. Oh, fantastic. That makes sense. I'm amazed that they didn't do that to Tila. But, yeah. And Jim Bessette wonders, when is live-action Robotech/Macross being produced? Thoughts on possible cast and director? Tom, do you have any information about the Robotech Macross thing? And what's going on with that? Because I don't. Tom is muted or not here, so that means that no one has any idea of the Robotech Macross thing. I'm only vaguely familiar with it. I have no thoughts on who should be doing it, other than someone who doesn't necessarily have to love the original Macross saga, but someone who at least understands its appeal. That's the only thing that I can say about that, because I'm not too familiar with it. I have no idea its current whereabouts. Stephen Otten says, am I the only one who thinks Space Above and Beyond is closer to the Starship Troopers novel than the movie? Again, I haven't read the novel, so I have no idea, but you guys let Stephen know in the comments. Do you think that Space Above and Beyond is closer to the Starship Troopers novel than the movie? If so, let Stephen know in the comments. Then STR Red Wolf says, we now have exclusive proof that Hollywood executives turn into Fennecs when Kamran is heard. And then he says again, Ree, and that's the only soundbite you're going to get out of me. Robert says, hail Midnighters. Today is my wife Mary's 40th birthday. Can you all give her a shout out? Of course, Robert. Mary, happy birthday, and welcome.
Happy birthday, Mary.
40s. And just remember, because I know that's every time there's a new round number, it's a transition. So just remember that life begins at 40, and if that doesn't help, then again, happy birthday. And we're so glad you're watching, and we hope that Robert has prepared everything to give you a great day. So glad to have you here. And Copper Indio says, Andres gets a super chat out of me. Thank you for that, sir. Oh, well, thank you, I guess. Tiberius Monk, also, my God, also says, I now want Andre to star in Midnight's Edge, the musical. It will be really wonderful. Hail, Arena, Tom, Andre, Paulie, and Kamran. Hail.
You're never going to live that down.
To everyone. No, probably not, but hey-ho, what can you do? Eric Alfred Abel says, I can't wait for Kennedy to get a Lifetime Achievement Award if it means she is done. And Stephen Otten says, record everything Kamran says. Oh, we do. Not only do we do that, we make best of videos that we put up that are shorter, so that those that missed the live stream can enjoy the highlights of them later on. But of course, it's much cooler to see it live, because then you get to ask questions and interact with them. So that's always simple. Indeed. Or always awesome. I just read one here, which is simple. So yeah. Nerd Cookies says, what a lovely panel. Oh, hey. Thank you. And Planar Aspect says, I'm considering traveling from Washington to Florida for the Velocicoaster at Universal. and not Disney World. Go figure. Yeah, it would appear that many are starting to increasingly prefer Universal. I know I had great fun at Universal LA when I was there 2 years ago. And then we have Greta Thun Potato, who says for $5, imagine the fate of the Jedi series on Disney Plus and how terrifying Abeloth would be. I'm not familiar with the Abeloth, but so I'll just have to imagine, as you say. And then Hypergiver 2 says, we know that Gina is persona non grata, but the way we will know if Gina is returning to Star Wars is if she appears at Star Wars Celebration in 2022. Is that in May? Because I think that, because if so, I think we'll know before then. But yeah, that's me.
Star Wars Celebration?
Yeah.
Is that in May or is it? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think so, because I think they usually do it over May the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. You could be right.
Yeah. No, because like the Boba Fett series, that's in December, isn't it? I think
yes,
it is.
because that's basically taking the spot of what would be Mandalorian's spot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Also, so we would know before then, actually. Red Mask says, will bean counting eventually get Marvel Comics back on track? I don't know that, but I will say that's the only possible thing that could. But honestly, I think that comic book sales are too low to matter at this point.
Yeah, I think
that's not the case, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think any interest financially from like any of the big money people has gone out the window when it comes to comics a long time ago. So a lot of people that are probably left are people that are just all in game with this, identity politics that got us to this point in the first place. And again, it's one of those things we keep saying, like if the film industry does not pay attention, the same thing will happen to them. I mean, look how dead the comic industry is right now. I mean, it's not even on. Would you even call it on life support anymore, Andre?
Honestly, I haven't paid too much attention to it. What I do know is that if you go into a bricks and mortar store, and you go and buy a comic, any one of the new ones, and then like a couple of weeks later, when the sales chart is out, you can go and you can pinpoint yours on the map. It's that low sales. I do know that. And also it was like one big retailer that was complaining that there's literally more alternate covers for like Marvel's next event than they have orders. And I don't know exactly which comics were sort of, I think it was a fairly sizable one. So that's like an interesting thing. And especially when that like new event was like Born Again or Heroes Reborn, I think it was one of the suckier one of the 90s that's now being remade. So yeah, good going with that.
I'm back, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant, excellent. I know that Tom had to go out there for a moment, but it's great that I'm not alone here as I go through the super chats.
Sorry about that, brother.
No, that's okay. Happens. We all got other stuff we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And Notto says for $19.99. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. Do you wonder how many Disney Plus annual subs will drop this fall? Folks like me who paid for a yearly sub last fall for Mando and couldn't cancel after they crapped on Gina. I tried until the end of the year. I have no idea. Paulie, do you have any thoughts on that?
On the what was the first part of the?
Yeah, how much do you think that Disney Plus annual subscriptions will drop this fall for those that subscribed for like 1 year for a discount and then can't unsubscribe before the year has passed?
Oh, gotcha. Like they got him into that deal. You can't unsubscribe for a year.
Yeah.
I gotta imagine if a lot, unless there's some great announcements from Star Wars, as far as Rodriguez and maybe Gina coming back, that would to me that would say, okay, I'll keep my subscription. But other than that, I mean, what else do they got?
Yeah.
You know.
Indeed. And then Aurora Uplink says, I would love if they got Ron Moore and the staff who wrote for Star Trek Deep Space Nine and paid them to create a Thrawn series TV show, New Republic. How awesome would that be? But yeah, I don't think that's likely to happen. But luckily, Favreau may have other awesome. Well, he definitely has other plans, and we know they involve Thrawn. We actually broke that scoop from Mikey Sutton a good 6 months before he was name dropped in The Mandalorian second season. And then on John Favreau being an underestimated nice guy, Harry Nice Guy says, I agree. Call me underestimated nice guy, LOL. And Granwasu42 says, for 10 euros, thank you so much. Everybody was complaining that Favreau did not come out in public defending Gina. If this is all true, everybody should know now why he said nothing and pulled the strings behind the screen. Yes, exactly. That's what we always said as well. The people that can do nothing, they're the ones that should be saying something on Twitter. The people who actually can do something, they don't do that because they're working behind the scenes.
I didn't get a lot of slack, but a little bit of slack when I said that last week's or earlier this week. God, it seems like such a long time ago when they put Gina on the nominations. I go, this is the beginning of something big, and I really believe Favreau is behind this, and lo and behold, I think I'm right.
I think so too. And then continuing the super chats, then we have, I just have to get back to where I was here. Dash D says, not to be off topic, but yeah, has anyone seen lately? Hi, Kamran, nice to see you again. She was here. I saw her in the comments of another video recently. I haven't seen her here today, I think, but I think she's okay. I certainly hope so. But I haven't seen her today either. So she'll be missed, and I hope that she lets us know when she's back. She and her mother. And then moving on from there. And Dashtis also said, hi, Kamran, nice to see you again. And yeah, we'll bring that to him. And Merlin's Id says, ding dong, the witch is dead. Which old witch? That Kennedy. Yeah, you catch my drift. Sporking News Podcast says, love you guys. Oh, thank you. We love you too as well. And we're so grateful for everyone who is watching, super chatting, and supporting the channel. We really need that. And you guys keep the lights on, allow us to do what we do. So thank you for that. ActionCom wonders, why did Disney apologize to Robin Williams? I was unaware that Disney had apologized to Robin Williams. Polly, do you know anything about this?
No idea. I could look it up, but not off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay. No, we have no idea. I don't even know that they did, let alone why. But Thanks for the question. I guess sorry, can't answer. Don't Call Me Wave says, even if this is all BS speculation, I think the rumors and speculation by itself has massive power to shift things. It does indeed, both in corporate politics and in real-world politics. You have no idea how often false information is released specifically to try to sway something to happen. It happens all the time. I mean, if you've seen House of Cards on Netflix in the first season, there you saw how they deliberately planted leaks that were complete bullcrap at the time, but to make them self-fulfilling prophecies. This happens, and it happens a lot. Hypergiver, oh yeah, we got that one already. And we got this one. Votage says, the High Republic is lowbrow trash. It is indeed. It's very difficult to say it is anything else. But by contrast, Stephanie Yanisek Smuggler's Cantina says, Heart of the Jedi is really good, for your information. Oh, that's very cool. Glad to hear that. And Perilous Plain says, Andre, gratulerer med dagen, or basically happy Norwegian Constitution Day on the 17th of May, because he probably won't be able to watch the show then, since again, we celebrate our Constitution Day pretty hardcore here in Norway. And then P.S. Love from Norway. Oh, thank you, my fellow countryman. Master Clockwork says, Kathy came in like a wrecking ball. And then moving on, we got that one. Stephanie Yanni's ex-Smuggler's Cantina again says, I think estimated Disney's full investment in Lucasfilm with the parks could be $7 billion. That actually sounds fairly reasonable to me. And that $7 billion they have not gotten back again. And Gypsy Warrior, in reference to Hollywood, says, this town needs an enema. And Anonymous Cowwood 3000 says, thanks for the great content. Love all you guys.
Welcome.
And Lord Trinan asks, what would it give, what I would give for the chance to say KK? How does it feel knowing Gina Carano indirectly kick your shriveled butt out of Lucasfilm? Yeah, that would be the question I'm sure many people want to ask, but I don't think we'll be getting an answer. And in terms of like the Star Wars costs, the Big Red Bear says that's also not taking into account that these films cost money to make. They cost money to market. When factoring in production cost too, what a meme. This thing is a boat anchor. It has indeed. Disney has lost money on Star Wars. That is the hard, cold truth of the matter. Because when we factor in how much they spent on acquiring the brand in the first place and how much it takes to actually pay for the new productions, the only thing that really paid for itself was probably The Force Awakens, whereas everything else, although some of it may have been profitable on its own, it hasn't profited enough by a long shot to make up for the initial investment cost. That is the simple fact of the matter. Not saying it's a good thing, but that is how it is. And Akior wonders, does this mean more woke nonsense or less? Probably in reference to the whole Bob Chapek restructuring Disney in a new manner where distribution actually has more power than content creation. Polly, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that there will be more woke content or less with Disney's new structure?
Less.
Why do you think that?
I think the pendulum has swung as far as you could go. I think it's coming back. And from some of the kind of actors, even the show that we're premiering tonight that me and Tom did on Luis Valdez and Lou Diamond Phillips. It's clearly like, there's no longer the apologies, and it's about, the universality of themes and projects. And they're celebrating the 80th anniversary of Richie Valens. So they had it was a New York Times interview. And, I was surprised how fair it was. I don't know, so I have hope. So that's my feeling. And some of the actors that we've brought onto the show as well recently, from the Selena actress to the tax collector actress, they're they have their little agendas, but they recognize story first. So that's my answer.
Yeah, Tom, what are your thoughts? Do you think that with Disney, with the Chapek's restructuring, in which distribution actually has more power than content production, do you think the content will be more or less woke?
Oh, well, if that's the case, if Disney itself is more worried about the distribution, which includes, like I pointed out earlier, Disney Plus, and then that says that, that tells me that the production companies themselves, which are underneath Disney, like Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, etc., they're going to be more autonomous and worried about what they are going to bring out, which kind of goes back to some of the things we've heard before. Because if you'll remember from the whole Leslie Headland fiasco, we heard from a few places that KK can greenlight TV shows till she's blue in the face for Disney Plus, but she's got to go through the big horns, aka Alan Horn and Bob Iger, and then Chapek, to actually get a movie greenlit. See, so that, I don't know if that means that's changing. That's a good question. I mean, as far as it being the woke part, I think it'll depend on the department. Honestly, I have not liked anything out of Pixar since John Lasseter's been gone, but I've heard good things about Soul. I think you even said that, Paulie, that you liked Soul, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, you're not there. Sorry.
I'm here.
Did you say you saw Soul?
Soul? I never saw that.
You didn't get a chance to? Okay.
No, by Kemp?
Yeah, the new Pixar film. But
yeah, it's been the one that, it's been around, right?
Yeah. I thought you had said you'd seen it. That's my bad. I couldn't remember if you had or not. But yeah, outside of that, because people have been saying that's good. Other than that, we know what we've seen out of Marvel so far. We're, not holding our breath to see if the MCU is going to happen or not. I think that's, pretty clear. So yeah, I think it'll depend on the departments, and if Cameron is right, if his predictions were true, and some of the things that we've heard, then maybe Lucasfilm will be all okay. But we'll see.
Yes, indeed, we will see. I think that it depends entirely on exactly where in the Disney corporate structure the wokeness is being mandated from. If it's being mandated from higher up than the now new distribution chain, it's not going to go anywhere. Whereas if it's lower than that, then I think it will go away on the things where there's an incentive to actually earn money. Like, for instance, Star Wars. That's something that they have to try to get profitable. Now, Disney already has like a wokeness officer. I do believe it's called like the VP of diversity and inclusion or something like that. And just with someone like that, with that role in the company, it's not going completely away no matter what. But you can still hope that it's going to be integrated naturally into the story in a way where you don't notice it or care about it. Which, it was done in Star Trek of old, and basically where story is put first. I think that's the bigger question. Will story be put first, or will agenda be put first? And I think it's a very big chance that story will be put first. And diversity and inclusion will be there, but not at the expense of story. However, it's going to take like 2-3 years before we see the effect of that on screen. Because Hollywood is like always that far beyond schedule. Like, for instance, last year, 2020, that's when we had the Birds of Prey movie. And when was that greenlit? When were the creative decisions made there? Well, they were made when Deadpool was a hit, a certified hit, and before the female Ghostbusters was a flop. Right in between there was when the creative decisions on Birds of Prey were locked down in sand and couldn't be changed afterwards. So it's going to be like 2-3 years before we see the effect of this. So we're in for a rough ride already, especially with Phase 4 of Marvel. I agree with what Kamran said before, like abandon all hope for that. Now, he didn't say that. That was my words, but I don't think there's going to be too much excitement related to that.
Yeah, if I could say something,
Go for it.
in regards to Soul and Kemp Powers, who's got a very he's a prolific writer, but like he's kind of, for me, very uneven. It's like he can be really bad and he can be really great. One Night in Miami, which he wrote as a play, and then he wrote the screenplay, is just my favorite film of last year. But he also wrote several scripts of Star Trek Discovery season 1. But I've heard good things about Soul, and then now maybe what, Tom, you were thinking of, because I was bringing Soul up a lot when I
that could be.
Yeah, I did a video on Powers and Joaquin Dos Santos being revealed that they're directing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel. So it's like, what you never know what we're gonna get. I do like his writing a lot. I think One Night in Miami is amazing, and I do have an announcement to make in regards to someone, a super chat talking about Stand and Deliver. So whenever you're ready, I have that little announcement.
Well, since you teased it, let's do it right now.
Well, and some of this is news to me, unless this is the part I already knew, Paulie. Lay it on me.
Someone super chatted in regards to did anyone ever see Stand and Deliver in school? I don't know if you can bring up that super chat.
How do I teach these kids?
Well, if it's on screen, if not, let's see.
Yeah, I think it's fairly recent.
Which one here? Let me see.
Let's see if we can get it on.
And I do want to say hi to EBS. I saw him in the chat, by the way. I didn't want to interrupt Andre in the middle of that, but yeah.
Yeah, Ethan Van Skyver, we have to have you on again sometime. It's
very soon, very soon.
Yes, you're always welcome. Big fan of your content. Look, yeah.
And yeah, if I could just also plug that too, is like me, Mexican Iron Man, are big fans of EVS. So right on, brother. Did you see Action Com? Did anyone watch Stand and Deliver at school?
Yes.
Funny you should mention that, because we here at Midnight's Edge Espanol and the Latino Slant, we saw Blood In Blood Out was such a success, Tom and Andre, that we're like, well, what about Eddie James Olmos? What if we talked to him and went for an American Me reunion roundtable? Well, he said no to American Me, but he said yes to a Stand and Deliver roundtable reunion. And Jeff Rivas just sent me this. Eddie is officially on board.
Nice.
Yes, that's awesome.
Eddie James almost coming to Midnight's Edge.
So that's
Can't wait for it.
That's an announcement. We're gonna hopefully have more than that to go along with it, but we'll have more to say about that later. But yes, I was waiting to announce that, and I'm sure Robert will be very excited to hear that. I did give him a heads up. Robert Meyer Burnett, that is. I mean.
Yeah, he did such a great job hosting the Blood In, Blood Out reunion panel. So everyone, if you haven't seen it, do go and check that out. It's in the Star Interviews playlist. There you'll find our Blood In, Blood Out reunion roundtable. It is epic. And it has the most epic cameo of all time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does have that's a good, and I am talking about Edward James Olmos when I say Eddie Olmos. Yes, Edward James Olmos.
Yes, of Miami Vice and Battlestar Galactica fame.
Yeah, exactly. So Stand and Deliver, coming, Eddie Olmos, and hopefully we can get him talking about some Battlestar Galactica.
Absolutely, that'll be fun. Yeah, because there's so much stuff to talk to him about besides Stand and Deliver. But when it comes to the Latino Slant and things like that, if you can't talk about American Me, he's been in Dexter. I mean, oh God, Edward, he's been in
Blade Runner.
Exactly.
Blade Runner.
We'd be sitting here for the next 10 minutes, probably going through his filmography,
his career, in which we should do a stream just in his career. But and Tom did know about it. I was texting with Jeff Rivas. He's like, I'm about to talk to Eddie again. Like, all right, well, we're here. Whatever you need, man.
I love Jeffrey. He's so awesome.
Yeah. So I got excited, and then for whatever reason, someone put a super chat about Stand Deliver. So I'm like, oh shit.
It's just kind of, isn't that weird? It's kind of like how the blood in, blood out thing went with Robert Meyer Burnett, because somebody just happened to bring up blood in, blood out. I think we were on Midnight's Edge After Dark, and it's funny you mentioned that. Or were we on here? I can't remember. I don't know. We have Robert so many different places. I don't even remember.
It was not on our show. Your show. Yeah. I get so relaxed here. It was on.
Well, you're part of the team, man.
No, gracias. But you're right. It was like either something, and then Robert was on, and we're like, okay, let's talk to you afterwards.
Yeah. But yeah, like Action Com, I did. It's funny you mentioned that, because I brought this up to you the other day, didn't I, Paulie? When when we started talking about this, I said my introduction to that film was my math teacher showing us Escalante's real videos. And then we watched the movie. So like I'm well aware of it. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm even more familiar with that than I am American Me. So to me, that was kind of like, I wouldn't say a sigh of relief, because I do have the film American Me, but I know more about Stand and Deliver. So yeah.
Yeah, and he is doing Mayans MC. So you can, we will, talk about what he's doing right now. I mean, Mayans MC is very popular.
Plus it does have Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah, man. So,
and he's a young gun, and he's La Bamba.
Indian Mexican asshole.
Indian Mexican ass. By the way, wasn't yesterday Richie Valens' birthday?
Yeah, which is another weird coincidence. 80th. He would have been 80 years old, which means he still could have been alive today.
Absolutely,
with us. 80 years old. So we have the La Bamba review that we did, and that's tonight at 6 p.m. on my channel with Tom. And that is really, I was editing it yesterday, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I love that video, because like you're like, hey man, let's talk about this La Bamba article for like 15 minutes. Fucking 45 minutes later.
No, it was an hour. It was an hour
later, whatever. Yeah,
I edited down to 45 minutes.
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
But it's good because, Andre, we talk about the New York Times article, which is an interview. They're interviewing Luis and Lou Diamond Phillips after 35 years, you know, which is really cool. But then me and Tom start recasting La Bamba for today's audience.
Well, not only that, Luis brought up some points that Taylor brought up in our Blood In, Blood Out panel. And there was some other great points in there. But so do check out that video on Latino Slant. Have you dropped that yet? Or
I did drop it. It's premiering tonight.
Okay.
6 p.m. Pacific. So, you'll probably be live somewhere else, Tom, but you'll be on Latino Slant.
I might be sleeping. I don't know at this point.
Right. Well, just saying. Then if you're sleeping, you'll still be on the Latino Slant.
I could dream about it.
Ándale.
But all right, Andre, where are we with super chats?
Yes,
besides the one from Action Com, and thank you for that one, Action Com.
Yes, thank you so much. Like, I couldn't bring up the original one on screen, so you're just gonna have to do with this mock-up replacement, and it's not very good, but it is what it is. It's that or nothing. So yeah, that should be very cool. And then moving on with the super chats. I'm gonna have to refresh here. So Bill Galactica says to the announcement for £15, yes, my man Gaff in the suit. So I don't know what that means, but well, thank you.
Zoot suit?
It's from Bill
do you not know what a zoot suit is, Andre? Or is that what it says?
Suit? Yeah, no, that's a suit. Maybe we can get it up on the screen. It should be fairly recent. Maybe
my misunderstanding. Yeah, I was gonna say, unless I'm misunderstanding.
What did you just read?
I got it here. Here we got it. Yeah, there we go.
My man Gaff in the zoot suit. So Gaff is Eddie's character in Blade Runner. And
all right, yeah.
That's what I thought he said was zoot suit. Yeah.
Technically it was he was not in a zoot suit in Blade Runner. It was more of like a futuristic, I would say more of a private detective look with the trench coat and the hat. But he was El Pachuco in zoot suit a couple years before Blade Runner, so the look is almost the same.
Yeah.
And he played El Pachuco, which is like the mythic figure of the baddest zoot suit there could be.
Yeah. Well, Script Doctor, I will say this. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this panel is going to be a little different than the Blood In, Blood Out. So there may be a little bit more room for the crew. So you may be able to get in on this one for sure. So, but we'll discuss that when we know more about what's going on, because I think we're planning on trying to get at least 1 or 2 more possible pop-in guests for that. But I don't want to spoil any more news on that, because that was already a big enough surprise. And as Mecha J points out here, as we said earlier, happy birthday to one George Lucas.
Yeah.
With $5. Yes. And I also want to say happy birthday to Doomcock. I don't know if he's listening. I doubt that. But hey, go on and
is it not tomorrow? Or
I think it's tomorrow, but he's doing
because we got a super chat about that. Oh,
yes.
Okay. So streams tonight. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, if you want to, go ahead and grab that super chat now then.
Yeah. Oh, I have to find it again here.
I actually didn't see that. That's my bad.
There's a singing request for you, Andre, to sing Zoot Suit Riot.
Zoot Suit Riot. I wonder if he even knows that song, considering I don't even know if he knows
I have never heard that song, so I regret that I will not be able to accommodate that wish.
And if he's not, he's just telling us that fib just so he don't have to sing.
Yeah, that's like his
I can imagine
standard default.
That doesn't sound like the kind of music I think they'd listen to in Norway. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, swing music, Andre.
Yeah, we have that, but just give me 1 second.
Yeah, Cherry Pop and Daddy.
I was figuring, like, when I think of Norwegian music, you know the movie Clerks, right?
Yeah.
You know the song Berserker?
Yeah.
That's what I think of. Like that, to me, I envision every Norwegian song sounding like that. My love for you is like a truck berserker. I could see Andre singing Berserker.
I mean,
that I could do.
Right.
That I totally could do.
She likes a making fuck. Did he just say making fuck?
I don't remember the song. I have to repeat the song.
Oh, the song is.
I could sing that one.
Wow.
That I could do.
I wasn't sure if
but
you
the song
Clerks, to be honest.
Yeah, and I found the super. Yeah, of course I've seen Clerks. I am 37. Yeah, of course I've seen it. Kit Kat says tomorrow, May 15th, is Doomcock's birthday. Best wishes to him.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Doomcock, tomorrow. And I think he's doing a show tonight. So there you go. And you were going to say something, Paulie. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it was just about Zoot Suit songs, Eddie almost. Yeah. And, he sang so many great songs in the Zoot Suit movie. So, I'm just already getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's quite.
And Krusty Moko's like, Berserker.
Krusty Moko.
Yeah.
You have to say it like that, Tom. You have to say it with
Krusty Moko. As long as I got you and Mexican Iron Man's permission, I think that's enough.
Yeah, you're good.
I think so. All right.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Horton says Andra was a redhead in the classic Motu minicomic and her one Filmation episode appearance.
Yeah, I was actually away when that was brought up, and I heard it in the background. And I wanted to jump in quick, but I wasn't able to. But yeah, I don't know for sure if that's the character or not. But is it listed in IMDb or somebody? Can somebody verify that? Because I didn't know that for sure, but I did hear about that.
Find out. But also, Monkey Jeebus, member of the channel, says it's my birthday today. Happy birthday, Monkey Jeebus. Hope you have a great one.
And you share it with George Lucas, so you're in good company.
Yes, you are indeed. And you share it with Doomcock's live stream. So
and Mandy.
Awesome. And Mandy. Oh, Mandy too?
Mandy too?
Or Mary. What was her name before? Mary. I'm sorry. Mary.
Mary. Yes,
my bad.
Mary. Yeah. I just got confused. Mary.
That was my fault.
It's her 40th birthday today. So 40th happy birthday again to Mary.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for being here, Monkey Jeebus, as well.
Yes, indeed. And let's see if there's some more super chats that I can bring up before we return to the classics.
Yeah, and if that is the case with the character, even more ginger genocide. And I think I heard Andre say something like, "I'm surprised if they didn't do that with Tila too." If I heard it right.
Yeah, really, it was indeed. And Bill Galactica said again, "Did you get this one? Sorry, damn autocorrect. Gaff in the suit. two references to films there. I'm an E-Joe fan. See my avatar.
Obviously.
Yeah, Edward James Olmos. Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
We see. So yeah, obviously it's going to be awesome. Then we're going to have him on Midnight's Edge. How awesome is that?
We'll be glad to
look
see you
at
here.
I love it. I love.
Yeah.
We'll clip this right now and we'll send it to Eddie and his people. What was Bill Galactica? Thanks, man.
Yeah.
They love that stuff when you're.
Yeah. And he was like the best part of Dexter also from season 6 onwards.
Well, and then I think he started his TV reign with Lieutenant Castillo in Miami Vice. You remember?
And of course.
God.
He was. That's when Miami Vice really took off. Was when he came in, because like the pilot was a little bit so-so, although it had like the great music by Phil Collins and established Jan Hammer's themes and everything. The series itself didn't really take off until he came in.
Well,
my God, how he lifted that series.
I don't want to put down Gregory Serra's work, who was the first lieutenant commander.
Obviously,
he's a great actor as well, but it was just so different.
He brought in something so different.
Not the right fit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not that he wasn't the right fit, but it was a different chemistry. Because the
original
captain, they knew each other. But when Almost came in, it was a different kind of chemistry because they didn't know each other. They didn't like each other at first. They had to learn to get to know each other. And that is what really made that series pop and came alive, in my opinion.
Well, I remember, and then rest in peace, Gregory Serra. Yeah. I remember an interview Almost did in regards to his character, and they were asking, how did you do it? I was so great. He's like, Don Johnson, then they were like the biggest pinup boys at the time. I just did everything opposite of what they were doing, like acting wise and in the scene.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So basically, he was the real actor. Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
And you're right, Nicholas Horton. We're at almost the 100th episode, I believe. I don't even know where we're at now.
We are at 96, I believe. Just look at the title and thumbnail. We're at so.
I know. I can't see it all.
2 weeks. No, we can't. We can't see from our screen, but
that's what I'm saying. Now I can see it.
Or a week and a half.
But
yeah.
Awesome sauce. All right. Fragoff Feldercrab says Don Johnson is rebooting Nash Bridges. I hadn't heard that yet, but I'm not surprised if it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
No big surprise there.
No,
bring back Cheech.
Yeah, you better.
He needs to pay for that art museum he's putting up.
That what he's doing lately?
Money into he's been an art collector for decades, so I think it's in Riverside or something.
Oh,
and
you're talking about Cheech Marin, right? Not
Cheech. Yeah. Cheech Marin's got one of the biggest private art collections.
Oh wow, I did not know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah,
that's really cool. He's a man of class and taste and whatchamacallits.
Yeah, he's a fan. Indeed, he is. But we have a few more super chats to run through.
I see there's a lot of Phil Collins talk in the chat. I will say this about Phil Collins.
Well, that one song in Miami Vice, like that's a good one. You can't deny that.
I was just going to say what you will about Phil Collins now. I will fight you on Phil Collins in the 80s. Like that's a totally different
Phil yeah. He ruled all the way up to I Can't Dance, and then he stopped ruling after that.
Well, that was Genesis, But
I know, but
that was probably the last hurrah. You're right.
I know many prefer Genesis with Peter Gabriel, and this is very, very fair. But on that one album, the one where I Can't Dance was the signature song. He was pretty awesome in that.
That's my I agree with you there. That is probably the last good Phil Collins album that he's involved in.
Yeah,
because from there it just went to like Tarzan and a few other things like that. And it was just
he had a run where he was like the number one pop dude.
Yeah, he was pretty hot in the 80s.
And then he had that Easy Lover with Philip Bailey.
Yep.
Oh, what a killer! I love that video too. It was like so simple, but they're like coming down off a helicopter. Gonna go play his drums and sing.
Natasha's in the chat singing Studio.
That I love those. I love those music videos because it was like all took place in a bar, and they're like Susudio is like, you know, it's like the whole bar's just going crazy, singing and jamming, and then they all leave, and he's like, one more night.
Yeah, like I said, say what you will about his latter stuff. Like I agree with Andre. Up until that last bit with Genesis, he knew how to write a song with a killer fucking hook. And you cannot. Yeah. And in the heat, I can call. What is the name of the song? Heat tonight or what?
Something in the air tonight.
Something in the air tonight. I knew it was something weird like that. Yeah, like that is probably his best song ever. Yeah, I'm half awake, guys. You have to
take me home.
Take Me Home is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You Can't Hurry Love. That was also a pretty good one
for a reboot song. Yeah, a remake song, whatever you want to call it. Not too bad.
Yeah. And No Son of Mine is a classic.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there's a difference between Phil Collins today and Phil Collins in his prime.
Even Another Day in Paradise is a really great song.
That also, one. It's top 3 right there.
Yeah. But anyhow, moving on with super chats. How many?
Yes,
I think we got a few left.
Moving on, we have a couple of few ones left. Yeah, Zontar says saw Dota yesterday. Pretty decent show. Netflix needs an Annie section instead of dumping Annie shows into the anime category, though. Annie isn't anime. I was just reading this. This might as well have been Greek to me. Greek, by the way, is not one of the languages I speak.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know the show, but from what I'm gathering from what you just read from the super chat, they put it in the wrong category. Is that what I'm getting?
Probably, or that there should be an Annie section or Annie section, AENI section.
Oh, is that?
I have no idea what the difference is between Annie and anime. So it's not my world.
And this is why we're probably going to be looking for an anime person when we do anything for that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, Sontar, I hope you get it, because although I don't know it myself, I do so dislike when things are incorrectly categorized. Like, for instance, The Martian winning for Best Song, Musical, or Dance Number and the Golden Globes a few years back.
Yeah. Well,
really?
Yeah, really.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah, kind of, but yeah.
Eat shit potatoes.
Yeah, it's a great movie though, but yeah. And then moving on, Crazy Cat Guy sent a Crazy Cat super sticker, so thank you so much for that.
Okay, Mega Kurgan says Annie is woke crap, so I'm assuming that's different than anime. So it may
yeah, that's what he said. Like, it should be like in different places, but
gotcha.
If Annie is woke anime, then yeah, absolutely separate that shit on the side, so it's easier to ignore.
Yeah.
Or Anakin Skywalker, they called him Annie.
Yeah, well, it's written differently, but yeah. And Freakadelic says for $10, thank you so much. It's a wonder Star Wars didn't do unique story arcs from the start, like their Disney Plus. The trailers were vague anyway. It could have been any story. Isn't that the idea? People will watch for the IP alone. Well, that's why they bought it for certain, so too bad they messed that up. Mr. Tickletrunk sent us a little doggy super sticker, so thanks for that. And then we have we got this one, and Eric Winberg says, thanks, Tom, Andre, and Kamran. Have a great weekend. Oh, yes, so do you. Or you as well. And Gladiator sent us a $1.99 super chat with the message deleted. But thanks in any event for the support. Goddess of Whim 2003 said, who misses Michael Eisner? So we got that one. And Darius Münchhausen and Yuda Khan sent us super stickers. And then we have Laser Pants says, "What's up, Pete? Glad to see you up and at it, Tom." Yes, indeed. Like, yeah, the shot is hard, isn't it? So it's great to see that you're up even after the second shot.
Well, barely. But you know what's funky about this thing, and this is weird. And I don't know. Please tell me in the chat if anybody else experienced this. I got the shot originally in my left arm, got it in the right arm this time. But for some reason, where I got the shot in the left arm hurts like hell. I don't feel nothing in my right arm so much. I mean, it's a little sore in the muscle, like when you get a shot, but I am feeling that first shot for some fucking reason today. Like, I don't know what the hell. No idea. If anybody else has experienced that, please let me know, because that is weird.
Yeah. And Gypsy Warrior sent us $4.99 in support. So thank you so much. We really appreciate that, Gypsy Warrior.
Indeed.
And Stephen Ott, yeah, carry on.
I was just say, Action Column said here, but did you grow a third arm? No, but if I do, I'll let you name my superhero name. So.
And Stephen Otten says, "Hail Andre, Tom, Kamran, Wrenches, and Midnighters. What did KK do this time?" I think we got that one to the beginning here, because now we're back to like the classics from the beginning.
But just the same thing for the support, yes.
Yeah, and Roll Titan says, "Does it really matter if KK is gone? Even if the story group goes with her, it's Disney. There is no hope for Star Wars." Yeah, well, going back to what Kamran said, because we didn't explicitly touch on the super chat, but he did kind of answer it. What Chapek is doing right now, if Kamran is right, is that he's restructuring it in a way that's going to give Favreau increased control. If that happens, with the story group gone and Kennedy gone, there is hope, because that's the restoration of Favreau's plan right there. Especially if the rumors that Doomcock have reported that Cara Dune has been seen on set, if there's truth to that, I would say there is hope. I would actually say there's more hope for Star Wars than for Marvel right now in this moment. But we shall see what will come of it. And then we got the one from Hyper Guyver.
Thank you for this.
And Valiant Renegade says, "Polly took the words right out of my mouth. Disney bought Marvel and Star Wars to get the guys market, and immediately blew Star Wars and now blowing Marvel." And he also says, "From what I read in Variety, it was also Chloe Zhao." This was actually yesterday's, or from the last show, so I went through far there.
Yeah,
then we are
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
like,
it does sound familiar. And then, yeah, Mecha J says, "Happy birthday, George Lucas." And Votage says, "Oppenheimer did Skeletor, Man at Arms, Battlecat, and Cringer." Yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of the voice actors did multiple voices on the show, which wasn't normally abnormal. But yeah, the Filmation group had like their own kind of set of voice actors too that kind of they used a lot. And I believe Oppenheimer was one that was used quite a lot.
Yeah, it was him and the guy who did He-Man, I forget his name. The two of them, they really got around. They really got around. They absolutely did.
Are you trying to say that I was a slut?
Oppenheimer was so good.
I'm not a slut. I am not nice.
And then
Skeletor. Sorry.
Yeah, your Skeletor is awesome. And Hyper Guyver 2 says, "I tried to get a group of Mexicans to say Latinx, but with their accents, it kept coming out as Vocoso."
By the way, you can get your Wokoso t-shirt right now. Where, Polly?
Right here, man.
Right there. Just the way you said that. Sorry. Yes, but do you have a link where you can get that? I meant like right here.
You know what? The funny thing is like my damn heat press machine is broke. So Mexican Iron Man is trying to hook me up with a new t-shirt.
Oh, shit.
So the store is technically closed right now. But
do you need a hookup, dude? Just get a hold of me, man.
Okay,
I'm sure I can get you a shirt, guy. Don't worry.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what happened.
Depending on if you want to, I don't know. You probably make more doing it that way. So I don't know. I have no idea. But we'll talk about that off the air. Yeah.
But it's funny because I just happen to have this shirt right here.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, right here, man.
So go to Paulie's house if you want to welcome.
No, don't do that. Because
I'm kidding. Do not show up at Paulie's house.
Right. The deal with Mrs. Slant. What the fuck y'all doing here?
Yeah. Does she got a gun?
She's a Latina. She don't need no gun. Latinas don't need a gun. They'll just take whatever piece of furniture is nearby.
Anyway, moving on, Andre.
Sorry, Andre.
Yes,
sorry.
moving on. We're almost caught up now. So moving on, we have. Let's see where we are. We have. Yes, Zelda, Princess of Heart says, I believe the episodes you were thinking of was The Witch and the Warrior and Revenge is Never Sweet. That may be accurate. I don't know why I thought of the House of Shakoti or something. That could be cool. But anyway, thank you for the correction, Zelda, Princess of Heart. Really appreciate that.
And I trust that because, yeah, I don't know if it's a he or she. I'm assuming it's a she. If I'm wrong, sorry. But on top of it, so I believe that because I am horrible with episode names, as most know me can attest to. So I'll go with your answer.
And I haven't watched the original He-Man series in so many years. Like I'm only able to pair a couple of episodes with their names, like Into the Abyss and the Comet Keeper and some stuff like that. But most I don't remember right now, so I have to rewatch it in time for the Netflix series, because we're reviewing the hell out of that one. Mm-hmm. Don't you worry about that, because in Spanish too, of course, claro.
That's big.
Sí. He-Man es muy grande, and yes, exactly. Yeah.
todo el mundo, todas partes.
Sí, todo el mundo. I understand more Spanish than I speak, so you're just gonna have to.
If we're gonna be doing this, I better change the logo there.
But before we do that,
smart ass. And then he puts it back. Hey, listen, Andre made his Midnight Edge Espanol debut. We're waiting for you, Tom.
Oh, I'll try. We'll have to try and find something that I can actually kind of contribute to, because I don't speak a lick of Spanish, obviously.
It's not true.
And Zelda says, "Yeah, I rewatched on YouTube during the quarantine." Well, there you go. I've got the box set or whatever with all the series, but at one point I must have bought the top 10 episodes, and for some reason I found myself watching that set of discs more than just going through the entire series, because
I'm very proud to say that I have the DVDs in the best version of every single episode ever made of He-Man of any series. No, apart from the DreamWorks Netflix She-Ra series, because screw that. Beyond that, I have everything.
Yeah, I got the one that's I don't know if this was available over there or not, Andre, but this was one of the first box sets released. This is way before Universal got to release them, and they screwed up the frame format. So they're they're good versions, but it's got the whole entire original series, select episodes from the 90s series, but I do have all those somewhere else. We'll just say that. Yeah. And then it's got the entire 2000 series and a special version of the soundtrack. And then it also has a little sword replica thing in it. It was pretty cool. And then the front cover is Castle Grayskull bulging out.
I know that set. It's not the best discs, but it is the best set in terms.
Oh, is there better discs out there?
Yeah, there are better discs out there. But I have to go and check exactly which versions are which. But there are better discs out there. I know that for certain. And Jason Gallagher says, "Ever do a German Midnight's Edge? I can pop on. We'll see after we have Midnight's Edge Espanol up and running. Maybe.
It's all about demand, Jason.
Yeah, it's all about but actually the German territory is pretty big, and yeah, so maybe we'll see. And Platonic Guardian sent a super chat we can get in. Tim Pool just did a report on Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow retraction and profit losses. Go woke, or get woke, go broke is real, folks. Yeah, indeed. I look forward to watching that video. In respect to Tim Pool. Let's see if there's some other recent super chats. Oh, yeah, here's one. Gypsy Warrior says, did you see the opening of Army of the Dead? Is it out? Because I haven't seen that, no.
I think that was the one that's supposed to be on Netflix, ain't it?
Yeah, the Zack Snyder one.
The trailer?
I don't know. Is it did the movie come out already?
The trailer.
I don't know. I think it's like maybe it's like a trailer, or it's like something with Mortal Kombat. You know how like they released the opening scene, maybe
Like 7 minutes.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Let me look.
But
The opening. No,
yeah, that's my reading from the question.
No, I haven't yet. I didn't know it was out there, but to be clear, I've said this before. I may check the movie out, but I'm not a big fan of non-Romero zombie films. That needs to be said up front. So don't expect me to give it like some great review, or even like just railroad it or anything like that, because I have no real interest in it. So yeah, I don't think we'll be reviewing it per se, but I may check it out, and if I like it, I'll probably say something about it. If I don't, I probably won't. How's that sound?
In fact, it is the first 15 minutes.
Well, there you go. See,
well, there you go. Yeah,
check it out for yourself.
As for me, I have never been one for zombie movies, so I'm way wrong person to talk about it. I won't even tell you what my... Oh, well, then Paulie should review it. You go for it.
I'm going to review it. Yeah. And it's got a couple of actors for the Latino slants purposes we will be covering. But, one of my favorite Zach movies was his remake of Dawn of the Dead, which
I
is
don't
the
mind
famous
that one.
wall,
that
which is
was
famous
a good one. It really was.
Yeah,
was. As far as remakes go, that was not a bad one. It really wasn't.
And the original one was fun too, because they took over
the original's
a mall.
A classic, yeah.
Yeah, they take over a mall, and but I thought he did he had a great cast too.
Yeah, I don't mind the Dawn of the Dead remake for what it was. I went into it thinking I was going to hate it. Even though at that time I don't know, the full disclosure for those who don't know, I was a big Zack Snyder fan at one point. And I was happy he was making Man of Steel. And then I saw Man of Steel. And I'm like,
yeah, then that stopped.
Yeah, because before that I loved Watchmen. He impressed me with Dawn of the Dead. So I'm like, all right, I think this guy could do a good Superman movie. Superman's my favorite superhero. Bring it on. Oops. And what's even sadder is that first shot we got of Henry Cavill was so fucking awesome. And I had that as my screensaver for the better part of 2 years. So yeah, like just the heartbreak from Man of Steel. And I for those who enjoy the film, I get it. It works good as a great sci-fi kind of superhero-ish kind of movie, but to me, it's just not Superman. I mean, 300 was okay as far as adaptations go as well. So yeah.
Well, going back to the zombie genre, Andre, I'm such a zombie fan that I'm the guy that never stopped watching The Walking Dead.
There you go. See, yeah, that was a show I could never get into.
Yeah, me neither. I never got into it. So yeah. Right.
So any Negan fans and Walking Dead fans, we got rewarded because the ending, the season finale, had a Negan origin episode where it was Jeffrey D. Morgan and his wife, his real life wife, playing his wife in the movie, in the episode, and it was an incredible episode. I mean, you picked the right guy here. I actually did a Latino Slant review just on that episode. Maybe it's gotten 30 views. I don't care. I loved that episode so much. And so, and it had a lot of the comic book origins, but then it also, it was clearly one of the most satisfying emotionally episodes in years. I mean, you got to go back 5 seasons, because after season 4, it just was retreads. And then it got the last season and a half was like retreads with SJWs. So it was just really painful, but I never stopped watching. Anyways, that is my
Yes.
zombie minute.
Yes, very cool. And then we have, let us see here. Just have to get into
While you're doing that,
no, I got it. But yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, no, do this one first.
While we got it on screen, I was going to say Hyperguyver wants to know if I have, if I like Superman Earth 1. I've never read it. I'm aware of it, but I've never read it, so I can't give you an opinion on it. But if I ever do, I will try to remember to let you know. So I appreciate the donation, but sorry I haven't read it. Have either of you guys read Superman Earth 1?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Paulie? Well, I'm not going to answer for Paulie. Paulie, have you read?
No, a little familiar through Clobbering's tutelage.
Yeah, that'd be a guy to talk to for sure on that. But
Yeah.
no, I it might be one I'll check out if it's a recommendation, and if it's something I'm not gonna like, then I don't know. But I gotta read it from Hyperguyver, so I'll do my best to try and get my hands on that.
I think there's a connection. Yeah. I'm not gonna speak on it.
And just to answer this one real quick, Bryant, I did like Watchmen. In hindsight, I don't like some of the Zack Snyder isms in the film, but I do like the film. And Sucker Punch I never saw because after looking at the trailer, I was just like, I knew it was a movie that wasn't for me, and it was nothing against anything. It just didn't look like anything that I wanted to check out. So there you go.
Yes.
And you had a super chat ready.
Yes, I did, from Dash D, who says for 15 Canadian dollars. This is for you, Tom. If needle wasn't straight and injected it too fast, that tears muscle fibers instead of making a pocket between. If it's not parallel, it cuts through the mucal layers instead of pushing them aside. That might explain your discomfort.
Could be. Well, the weird thing is it's more like I just got it in the right arm, a little sore, whatever. But all of a sudden, my left arm, where I got the first shot a month ago, hurts for some reason. It's weird. Like, I don't know. That's what I was kind of saying. But yeah, that makes sense, though. Thank you so much for that explanation there.
Yes, indeed. And then moving on from there, we have what we can't bring up on screen. Dwayne Olson says for $5, Gina probably has a debt of honor to repay Shapiro, and it will be repaid eventually, but I've no doubt she's back to Star Wars. Well, let's not get too excited, but I think that she can do both. And Dash D's wonders for you, Tom. Meet Radio this weekend?
Maybe, if I can find the time. I know we've got some videos we got to get on, but we'll see.
Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. We're like a little bit behind schedule here, but we will get caught up before long.
Yeah, we'll see how I feel. This shot has really been kicking my ass, so we'll see. But
yeah.
I'll definitely put it in there if I can.
Yes, and with that,
Yeah,
go on.
Go ahead.
Looks like the Army of Darkness first 15 minutes, they're going to take it away tonight at 10 p.m. Pacific. You can still watch the first 15 minutes for free or whatever online. Yeah, they'll at that time they'll take it off YouTube, I think.
Okay, so it's like a preview because then the movie actually drops. I just looked. It drops on May 21st, it looks like. So There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So Army of the Dead, check it out. You never know. You might like it.
Yes, and with that, I do believe we are fully caught up.
Awesome. Was there any more news you wanted to touch on, Andre?
No, I think we are all done, unless you have something.
No, I think we've hit on everything there was to touch on today. Because I think you're doing a video on the Shang-Chi and...
yes, I'm working on that, so that should be out before long.
Okay, so yeah, we don't need to get into that then. We'll just wait for your video.
Yes.
Paulie, anything you want to plug before we go?
Yes, tonight on the Latino Slant, 6 p.m. is going to be Tom and me. We recorded it this week. It's a great talk on the legacy of La Bamba and Luis Valdez and Lou Diamond Phillips, 6 p.m. tonight. Midnight's Edge Espanol will be dropping a new interview from, and actually someone asked in the chat, one of your members, there'll be a dual interview of actor Romy Diaz in Spanish and in Portuguese.
There you go.
Very, very cool. And also, since we are plugging, it would be remiss of me not to mention that Nina, one of our own Toxic Femmes, Nina Infinity, she has just hit her 2K boy, did I botch that. She has hit 2K subscribers.
Whatever I got
And
is
she
catching.
has, and she has her 2K celebration stream tonight at 10 Eastern Time. So everyone, go and check that out.
There you go. And she's actually live right now. So if you want to stream hop from there or from here to there, I think
Congratulations, Nina.
that'd be awesome. I'll
To say
put
that
the link in the
Midnight
chat.
had sent you. Yeah.
I'll get that
Very
link
cool.
in the chat.
And with that, I'd also like to say thank you to Paulie for joining us, and thank you to Reina, who takes time
Absolutely.
off of work to come and join us, and especially thanks to Kamran Pasha,
Yes.
our very good friend, who we are delighted every time we can get to document the ongoing, shall we say, changes over at Lucasfilm and Disney. Always a delight to listen to his insights from the industry. So thanks for that. And with that, also thanks to every single one of you who have been watching there at home, that have been sending super chats and super stickers to support us. We really, really appreciate that. And Skål to Uffe, who says that and everything. So yeah, thanks to everyone. And with that, I do believe it's time for Koalas in the Rain. Anytime now.
I thought you were going to do it. I'm looking for it. I'm like, oh shit, I thought you had it queued up.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.